And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while, but welcome to Dithra, the Wild North. Our good friend GM Val will not be with us this week. He's enjoying some party time with his coworkers, and he's probably having a good time right now, or he's passed out, one or the other. Either way, he's probably having a good time. It's been a couple of months since we've run this one, some scheduling stuff, but we're back. At least for a little while, and then the holidays happen. Life happens. But you can always find this every last Friday of the month. This is kind of a second storyline that's going off the main one. And I am hosting. So we'll just jump back into it. It's been a couple months. So I'm going to give you guys a nice recap, at least from the notes. I had to really go deep on this one. So the last events, you guys had arrived in the Ford camp after a multiple day stretch by caravan. When you arrived, Bost, which is your character Jay, in case you forgot,
Yeah.
and Liam, that's Mark. You guys ended up strolling into town looking for work. First thing, shelter and work. You made your way, Liam, to the temple of the Shattered One in the middle of the camp. You talked to Brother Malcolm there looking for shelter and some work, and he said that there were some duties around the temple that he could use your services for. Bost, you also went there. It's a known place where refugees and other knaves blowing into town take shelter. There is a common tent where a number of refugees and other people stay, and it is poor conditions, bare ground, tent flaps, rough place. On your journeys, you guys traveled and found a few people. Jeb, who's a young boy whose father Brom died when you guys were restocking there, and Jameis and Imelda, grandfather and grandmother, and that you rescued from that place. They joined the caravan and they were dumped here. Liam, you've been kind of a caregiver, taking responsibility there in some fashion. Jameis and Imelda, they're old, but not too old to make themselves useful. And Jeb is, of course, a young boy. But you guys were at the temple. I think at some point, Bost, you wanted to take some time in the day to try to bolster up the building, trying to get wood and other materials to try to get some insulation there because it's miserable and cold, and also to pay back Brother Malcolm, who you're living off his charity, essentially. But after that, you head out into town to look for work. Bost, you end up finding a quest from a man named Jefferson Anders. I don't know if you remember that, but I'll put it in the chat.
Yep. I do have that in my notes.
Cool. Jefferson Anders, he is kind of a small company, but they are looking for information. One, they want to make contact with the Mammoth clan, which is one of the northern tribes here. They hope to just find them, at least find their trails. And then he's also paying for additional information on resources, natural points of interest, that sort of thing. So you do have that quest there. While that was going on, Zawinia, who's not with us, Val's character, she immediately started looking for opportunities in the camp to make some money. She went to Pax Mercatorum, the kind of merchant's quarter, was looking around there, found herself in Emberhaven, a kind of a red light district here where people get off all types of vices. And she ran into a woman by the name of Imani. And I have a handout for her. Imani is a known entertainer, and she is a known courtesan. She stands out against a lot of these people. There you go. She said, "Hey, I hear you're the best in town. You've got skills and you probably don't belong here. Let's work together and I think we can get rich." And Imani said, "Well, first of all, I don't know you. But secondly, if you do me this favor, we can think about it." And she gave Zawinia the quest to retrieve some money from a man named Caspian and send him a message. She doesn't want him killed, but she wants him to realize that he can't skip out basically on his bills and treat her the way he did. So after those events, you guys are looking for work. Liam, I think you're helping around the shelter, aiding people. Bast, you're doing some construction. A large sound of riders enter the camp, and a huge band, about a host of about 60 to 70 men armed to the teeth. They ride up to the Temple of the Shattered One, and they belong to an order called the Crusaders of the Faithful Shard. You find that out after some time. This host of 60, 70 men on horseback, soldiers on foot, they take over the temple, pushing people around. They make themselves at home. They start drinking and eating the food stocks, which were very meager to begin with. And Liam and Bast take the kids, take the elderly, take the rest of the knaves, and you guys head over to the Ebon Hawk headquarters. That was the outfit you guys traveled with to get here in the first place. And you called in a favor. Mavenestra, who's the quartermaster with the Ebon Hawk, she takes you guys in. They were lucky you guys showed up at a time where they didn't break down the mess hall tent. They just moved some things around, got you guys set up, and that's the temporary shelter you guys had. The party meets with Ariovistus. Ariovistus is the leader of the Ebon Hawk. You guys basically tell him what's going down, and he reveals to the party that he thinks that they're dangerous. He used to ride with the Crusaders when he was young. He did not go into the details of that. But in the morning, he plans on confronting them at the very least to see what the hell's going on. Because a host of 70 armed men on horseback not only is rare, but it's a concerning sign. He fears God knows what. War, conquest, he's not sure. But they're usually a bad sign. And that was where we ended the session. You guys kind of had an eventful day. You crashed down in the mess hall of the Ebon Hawk headquarters. And that morning, before dawn, you're waken up by a few hands. And Mavenestra, you blink your eyes open and you see her smiling. She says, "Come on, get up. There's work to be done. And you all look like you could use a good meal." And Mavenestra and her staff, and basically tells you guys if I can make yourselves useful, at least the people who can, and help set up the kitchens. After you guys get set up, she's going to serve you guys a meager meal, everybody in attendance, before dawn breaks. You can see the sun rising. It's kind of orange in this early morning. And the rest of the Ebon Hawk and other people, the Ironforge Alliance nearby, they come to the mess hall and begin to eat. And we'll go to you, Liam. You wake up. You guys help out in the kitchens. And what are you doing now? And if you have questions, please. It's been a while. So
yeah.
I'll
Like
do my
that
best.
whole situation at the Temple of the Shattered One is definitely bothering me, but at the same time, it's not really his place to do anything. I think he wants to check up on Brother Malcolm, though, and like he's worried that maybe he was mistreated because he stayed there, right?
Yes.
So I'm just gonna clean up, and then I'm gonna tell Mavenestra and damn, what's your character again?
Bast.
Bast. I'm gonna tell Bast that I'm gonna head over to check up on Brother Malcolm. I'm just worried that maybe they've mistreated him, and I want to check up on him, make sure that he's okay.
If you don't mind some company, I can accompany you over there if you'd like. I don't know too much of anything else that needs to happen from a kitchen standpoint. I'm not big on cooking and all that. I'm typically out wandering, hunting, and tracking. But if you like some company, I'd be more than willing to lend a hand.
Friend,
would know
I make my
after-
life wanting company.
Yeah, you would know after the meal was served. She basically said, "All right, you guys earned your keep for the night. Just get the hell out of here. You're not my problem," is what she said. I've got a
Yeah.
camp to feed. Okay, but and there's the rest of the other people there. They're probably looking to you guys. Like, where the fuck are kind of the de facto leaders? There's a number of like northern refugees, a couple of knaves. Oh, you
That's right.
actually got Liam, I forgot. You got a follower, and his name is Aiden.
Okay. I wrote Aofi. It had like a weird spelling. You changed it?
Yes, I changed it because I could not pronounce it. His name is Aiden.
Awesome. Okay. I had it written down and I wasn't too sure. I was like, why do I have a follower? What is that?
And he's
I
a
do.
he's a
Okay.
soldier, correct?
No.
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 Okay.
I rolled him up this morning.
He's just a dude.
Got it. Okay.
He's a pickpocket. He is a person.
Pickpocket.
Okay.
And he's got a helmet. But he is a whole level 1 PC or NPC.
Awesome.
But he
He's
is
got
your
a helm?
follower. He's got a helm. He rolled lucky. So, all right. Go
Kind
ahead.
of follow him over.
So he's
and-
gonna come
and-
along.
Yeah, and as we're just kind of walking, so what do you think about this payment for information and resources that we got? I mean, is it something that we want to kind of take up, or is it, I don't know which way we go? He's kind of just sort of rattling on about the little bit of the idea of making some coin, just because he's rattling around with barely anything in his pockets. Clothes that probably are not shielding him enough from the weather as from where he came from. It's just walking out in this cold. You got to get a little bit something warm, and you need some coin to do that. So I don't know what's your thought. I mean, how do you guys make money in this camp? I just showed up a couple days ago.
Aiden
I think all the
yawns.
refugees could use clothes too.
Yeah, everybody is like dirt poor. Aiden yawns with you guys. He throws his arms behind his head and he's like, well, usually I just lift a thing here, lift a thing there. I don't know. Work sounds good.
What do you think?
You guys are all
What's the how long have you been around this camp? You've been around long enough to at least have some ideas of who to go talk to?
I arrived with you would know he arrived with you
Ride
guys.
with me.
Yep.
Okay.
He was one of the hands on the caravan that arrived here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I saw him. I saw the caravan coming in as I was like rolling into town too. That's right.
Yep. Just to
Okay.
keep timeline simple because I'm
Yeah.
not trying to.
Yep. Well, let's.
But yeah,
let's
he's
go head
like,
over.
okay. You guys are heading to the Temple of the Shattered One? All right. So when you guys arrive by foot with the rest of your party in tow, you see men kind of staged outside of the temple. They've got wagons. A couple of men are throwing sacks of dry food onto it. They're rolling barrels up, planks onto it. They're loading pack animals. It looks like they're getting provisions. There's a couple people coming from the west side of town with gear. Like multiple people have got boxes on their shoulders and sacks or whatever, and they're just dropping it off. It looks like a line, but it definitely looks like they're provisioning. The horses that they have there, they're tied off to posts, and there's bales of hay or dried oats that they're dumping in front of them. They don't have a real place for them to feed, so it's right there in the open. There's very little grass other than some gnarled roots for these animals to eat, so they've got feed on them. But it's a pretty big operation. I mean, these men are spilled out into the front flaps of the temple. They're going in and out. The whole place is busy. And you see one man in full plate armor. He's atop a horse, and he's kind of stoically looking over the scene, but that's what you guys see as you approach.
Is the entrance to the temple barred in some way?
No, it's not barred, but it's definitely jam-packed. There's people basically like going in and out carrying shit, personal belongings, bodies.
Brother Malcolm was sleeping in the temple, or did he have a tent like outside of it?
He lived in the temple. His room itself was barely better than your guys' living situation. He had a bed and a night table, and that's the amenities.
Is there an access from outside the temple, or do we have to go into his room?
Yeah, there's a back flap. There's a back flap that would be quicker to get there, but
okay, then I'll go to the back flap directly then.
Yeah. You would still see a retinue of people here, but you guys would be able to enter just fine. And Brother Malcolm, he is in his room, and he's sitting up, kind of hunched over his desk, if you want to call it a desk, a little night table. He's got a candle burning low, and he's writing a letter. And he looks to you and says, "Hello. I didn't think I'd seen you.
Just for reference, Boss sort of stays outside, just on the outside edge of the flap, and just is surveying everything that's going on, trying to get a good feel of prints, the kind of prints that they're making, if it appears like they're taking anything that maybe they shouldn't be taken, or if it's just provisions. Just try to get a full lay of what is truly going on in and out of this temple with all this stuff getting moved around.
It doesn't look like they're robbing the place. This looks like they are staging and resupplying.
Yep.
They brought things in, essentially, right?
Yeah, they're bringing stuff in. Okay. So yeah, exactly. Not only are they like staging whatever outside the tent, but it looks like they've restocked some of the stuff that they took initially. So yeah, it doesn't seem like they're causing trouble, but a couple of the soldiers would like accost you guys, especially the refugees, like, "Get the hell out of here, you fucking kid." Or they might whistle at a couple of the ladies that are in there, but overall they're just doing their duties. They don't bother you too much.
So he's just going to stay outside, just sort of survey everything that's going on while he's in talking.
Cool. Yeah, and Brother Malcolm looks to you and says, "Liam, I did not think I'd see you again. How are you?"
Well, to be perfectly honest, brother, I was a little worried that maybe you might have been mistreated by these gentlemen. How was everything? How are you okay? Did they hurt you in any way?
No, they didn't hurt me. Maybe not physically. They are a bunch of brutes, but beyond that, no. In fact, Sir Kieran, I'll put that here, was kind enough to restock our larder, resupply us with some basic necessities. And he said that he had coin from the king for me as well, but we'll see. He says whatever he doesn't.
What is the king? What's his purpose? Why is he sending these men here? Why would he have coin for you?
I did not ask. It's a donation, he said. Whatever he doesn't spend in provisions, he'll give me what's left over.
So if you're not afraid of these men, then that's good, I suppose. What about the refugees?
Well, they're welcome back in the temple once they leave. He said that they'd leave tomorrow. Sorry, I wish I had, but it is my duty.
I understand, brother. Okay. Well, if there's anything I can do for you at this moment, let me know. Otherwise, I'll bring back the refugees tomorrow in the evening, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's good. They're welcome to stay here during the day, to stay out of the way. But yeah, these men have basically taken over the halls. If you want more information, you can speak to their leader. He did not tell me much, so I doubt that he'd treat you guys well. He is noble birth and usually doesn't deal with us. But if you want to be helpful, I would just say keep an eye on the place and spread the word of the Shattered One.
Will do, brother. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna tell Bast that Malcolm is okay, and he doesn't really know why the soldiers are here exactly, but the king seems to be throwing money at this, and they're leaving tomorrow in the morning.
Can I, having heard that, do you think it would be wise to see if there's any meetings going on between any of them, discussing plans, discussing what is actually taking place? I know. Do we kind of scour the town for?
You do know that Ario Vistus, when you guys spoke with him, the leader of the Ebon Hawks, did plan to confront them and see what the hell they're doing.
Right.
Yeah, that's more what I'm thinking. Honestly, I'm not too prone to snooping around. There's 70 armed men in here. Don't really want to, anger them in any way. But I would. I'm very curious. Also, I understand your curiosity. I want to know why these people are here, and maybe we should check up on Ariovistus and see when he's gonna come here, and just tag along for that.
Sounds like a plan to me.
But they don't look very friendly. So,
you roll into a little town like this with an armory, and
I mean, they essentially could take over the town right now if they wanted to. So.
Maybe Ford Camp's got like 3,000 people, and they're mostly rough and tumble type. They might be able to get overwhelmed by numbers,
but this is like there are 70 organized men that have trained together. Like it's a legion. It's kind of different than just 70 fighters or 300 fighters. So
with
you
never
in know, right?
Plate mail and armor to people that are wearing.
They have horses and everything.
It wouldn't be easy.
Yeah,
there's
it
quite
would
a
be
few
terrible fight. So
yes, that is for certain, definitely. And they are well geared. Not all of them are in plate. Several are, especially some of the cavalry that have. I mean, some of the horses are geared out. A lot of them have brigandine. And
they have war horses in that lot.
There's about 3 of them. There are war horses, and one has barding, which is the one. It's like heavy leather. Yeah, it's like heavy leather barding. And that's the main knight, the leader that you guys have seen, but you have not met him.
I mean, I know they're here from what we were kind of told was some sort of religious crusade, but where would they be going? There's like nothing out here.
No one that wants to listen to them either. I think they might actually be looking for something, but I don't know.
They're looking for a shard.
It's kind of their whole purpose. I think so. I mean, I don't know why they would mobilize so many people. It's not to spread the word. It's because they need the soldiers. So either they're going up against a shard bearer, or they have found a shard, and it's bound to be extremely dangerous. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out with Ariovistus. If you want to snoop around, I mean, be my guest. I'm not going to follow you, but I can look out.
I mean, it'd just be nice to see if we could hear any musings or ramblings from any groups that are, standing around talking. Like, maybe we just kind of take a little roundabout berth on our way to Ariovistus and see if I can pick anything up.
It wouldn't be too crazy for us to actually go up to them and ask if they have work for us. Everybody here is looking for work, right?
You're not wrong.
And if they have something for us to do, then maybe we can hear something, and who knows?
Well, let's go find the man in charge. I mean, no better way to get information than trying to get in close with him,
Sure, why not? As long as we're not snooping, like directly,
Just walking up to him.
I
Raising up
promise you.
flaps, listening.
I put my arm on it, like kind of slap him on the shoulder. I promise you, no just snooping. And sort of kind of slap him on the back and let's go talk to the what'd they say? What'd he say? Kieran?
Yeah. Well, probably not him directly, but they'll have someone at the gate of the temple. We'll have to announce ourselves.
Let's go have a conversation.
So we're gonna head out to the front of the temple this time. Go through the official entrance and tell the people there our names and say that we're looking for work if they have any jobs that need to be done.
When you enter, the front area is kind of opens up to the main room. You're stopped by a couple of guards, and yeah, you're accosted. Like, who the hell are you? And you say he's looking for work, and he says you can talk to our expedition leader. We are looking for bodies. Do you guys have any skills?
I do.
I'm a priest, sir.
I'm a tracker, hunter.
Good.
But I show my muscle and say I'm pretty strong, though.
If you can chop wood, you're better than most. And he's like, yeah, go see the quartermaster. He'll be able to get you set up. He's the expedition leader. His name is Bromir. He's that squat fella over there, and he'll point out to a man who's got brigandine that's kind of busting he's like spilling over them the seams. But he does seem to command an air about him. Most people seem to like him, and he's barking orders at other people. And as you come up to him, he shouts to you, he's like, and what do you want? You're looking for work, I guess. And he just spits on the ground. Well, what's your names? And he looks at the two of you.
I'm Liam, sir. I'm a strong fella. You can definitely use me for something here.
Bost.
What can you do, Southerner? And he looks at you kind of derisively, almost.
I was always been good at tracking and hunting. Got a little bit of strength behind me if need be, you know, when you got to carry out your kill. But probably a little better with a bow than I am with a club.
Okay. Well, you might be useful. The pay is 2 copper a day. I don't want to hear any whining. You dig your own latrines. When we get to the place, there might be some more pay in it. I'll tell you otherwise, but that's the deal. $2 a day or 2 copper a day. You're going to be a hand basically in our outfit. And I don't know how long we'll be on campaign. It could be years.
Sir, when you said when we get to the place, what place are you referring to?
It's above your pay grade. It's like, we're basically pushing as far north as we can. We're surveying the land in the name of the king and for the 3. That's all you need to know.
For the 3? When he says for the 3, do I know what he's talking about, being a Westerner?
Yes.
Is it part of the religion?
Yes, and I've fleshed out a little bit of the religion because I think we've been kicking it around a little bit. Give me a second. I got a little lore sheet for you. But the 3, so the West is kind of odd. There are kings and kingdoms, and several of them. And then there is a kind of a theocracy that wields power. Kind of think of like the Holy Roman Empire. So, and the 3 they're like the religious leaders, the father, the son, or the father, the child, and the mother. That's just kind of a moniker that they're given. Think of it like a pope, but they are kind of the religious influence of that side of the world. And then of course there's kings and dukes and other sorts of things. But it's all primarily controlled by the church. So that's what you would know.
All right. Well, I'm gonna look at Bast, just whisper, what the hell are we getting into here?
I mean, it's a great question. What did we got? Getting up into this area to begin with, what did we get ourselves into? I never wanted to come here. I just escaped the captors.
That's
that took
true.
me here. So at least getting paid to do something kind of seems like a good deal to me. But unless you got other ideas, I don't know what else to do around here that's gonna put food in our mouths and money in our pocket.
It's actually true, and we don't have any work in town. The quests that we did find, I think, are a little dangerous.
There's also, you guys, those are kind of like the non-standard. The job board had a bunch of day labor type stuff. Like,
okay.
Yeah, a lot, like, I think it was 5 copper a day, assisting with like the butcher, the baker, construct fortifications, collect firewood, chop trees for lumber, things like that. So stuff around the camp.
Okay. Well, anyway, for today, you wanted to snoop around and see what they're there for. So I guess, can we sign up for the day? And we see if we like it, we'll be back tomorrow.
Suit yourself. You'll get paid at the end of the day. We're gonna need these things. We're gonna need this stuff carried into town. Make yourself useful and tend to the horses. There's a bunch of stuff to do. I won't. This random work you'll get kind of dealt with.
So I guess
if we're transporting the goods, though, we get to see what they're bringing in, so that's cool. Maybe that'll give us an idea of what they're doing.
Yeah, you guys, most of what they get are survival gear, food, water, provisions, furs, extra boots, pretty much anything they can kind of rope, what they can get their hands on. Lots of salted stuff and preserved stuff. You feel like they're packing on more, a ton. I mean, they've got multiple carts and wagons that are getting packed up with food.
So they really plan to be out there a long ass time.
It's hard to gauge with a unit this size, but they're basically packing up for 2 to 3 months.
Wow. Well, there's
all right.
No reason not to at least start to carry some stuff. Maybe find a group of people just chit-chatting that know more than us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get to work like carrying whatever needs to be carried, and I'm gonna ask everybody else. Like, I'm just being very friendly. Like, hi, I'm Liam. I used to be a priest of the Shattered One. How did you end up here? Like, kind of ask everybody their backstory, you know?
You, in general, a lot of the people talk to you favorably. They are all long way from home. They're
all Westerners, right?
They're all Westerners. So they're like glad to see a brother out here in this damned place. The Shattered One be with you. They're mostly favorable towards you. What you would find out is that the men don't necessarily have an idea. What the story that they've been told is that, give me a second, I've got notes here. They are here because there's been rumors about a rebellion brewing up north. So what you do know, and let me put you there.
They're here to quell something.
So you guys came from Camber. That's where the caravan started. Camber was like a failed colony. The Western Kingdom just could never really get a strong foothold here. It was south of the mountain, so it really is mainly isolated. The people who lived there kind of became an independent state, and it's just kind of a known place where losers end up. But to the west, the coast, they did establish on the edge of the Forest of the Ancients here, a place known as Thalwind, and that is a western city, a real city, pretty large, and that's really the only foothold that they have here. But to get back on topic, let me go. He says that quell some kind of rebellion. There have been talks about a great wolf rider, some fool in the north trying to get all the clans together. Sorry, I'm trying to move us back to the map. I don't believe it. These guys are basically barbarians. But if we do run into some northern people, I've been yearning to get my test out my new weapon. I hear that they're great warriors, and I'm ready to test my stuff. That's kind of the feeling. Like, a lot of these guys are ready for combat. They don't have a specific aim, but they were told that whoever this is, this wolf rider, he's supposedly been gathering forces here. So their mission is to investigate it and kick some ass.
But these people, they're all like indoctrinated, basically. They're there because they're for the cause and they believe in it.
They're crusaders through and through. You would know this order, part of, they're hand selected generally. They probably came from the church. A lot of them were trained specifically for this or just fell into it. And yes, they are all zealots in one way or the other. I'm sure there's a spectrum there, but they're generally, that's their mission. They are known. I think I have a handout. Yeah. It's a religious military order whose primary mission is reunification. Reunification is what the Western people call like gathering the shards. Mm-hmm. And protect the faithful, convert non-believers, and keep the peace. That's like the official tagline for them. Your experience may vary depending on who you are. So
I am gonna ask when they mentioned the wolf rider, I'm gonna ask if he is is that like a special person? Does he have powers? Is he a bearer?
I don't know. I've heard that some of the northern tribes, especially the wolf clan, they've tamed the dire wolves, and there are some that are wolf riders. This guy, maybe that would explain it. That is our mission, to get a shard, but I do not know. There's a lot of the locals tell stories of the wolf rider, and they make it seem like he's supernatural. But my bet is that he's just a man and he can bleed.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask also if there are shard bearers among them. Do you carry the blessed with, like, anyone is blessed in your troops? For the Westerner, having a shard is like a big deal, right? They're proud of it, I imagine.
Yes. And in the world, it's like a pretty huge accomplishment.
But there's some places where people might hide it, but I mean, not these guys, right?
No. Yeah, he'd actually laugh at you. He's like, "Wow, you haven't been home in a long time. What part of the West did you grow up in? Must have been out in the country." He tells you, he's like, "Our leader is Kieran of Highcliff. He is a shard bearer. You've never heard of his name?" And you probably wouldn't.
I have.
Yeah.
I feel very unfortunate. I wish I've heard tales of him and his noble house.
And that is his full, what do you call it, title?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, I don't know if he's a shard bearer, but if there is one person to beat him in single combat, I'd imagine it's him. There's nothing we can't do behind him, and with the faith that we will reunify the Shattered One.
Awesome. Well, all this information is great, and I feel very relieved. I'm not threatened by these people anymore. Nor is this town for the time being, unless someone steps on their toes. I think we're going to be okay.
Bast, your experience is very different. Being from the South, these men, the Westerners are known to be pretty accepting, but the North or the West and the South have clashed for a long time. They're very close to each other geographically. There have been some spats here and there, but they are very different in culture and demeanor. A lot of the men will either not pay you any mind or just outright give you some shit. Among the people, though, Bast, as you're kind of going here, you do realize that they're hiring a number of people from the camp. Day laborers such as yourself, trackers, and some mercenaries. It looks like they're bolstering their ranks with some mercs as well. They're obviously not as geared up, but the Ford camp is a pretty large settlement. It's about 3,000 people, and it's usually new people are spilling in over the mountains. Sometimes they come from the north. Sometimes they come from Thalim. But that's your experience. It's a little different.
I think he would. I think I would try to, as much as I could, just sort of blend in. I'm not necessarily approaching and trying to talk to people. I'm more trying to overhear conversations between people.
Okay.
Just to pick up any potential little tidbits, and then I think seeing that they're hiring like trackers and day laborers and things like that, I would definitely put that in the back of my mind, because I don't necessarily think that Liam and I would have been in the same spots all the time. So I'm just trying to see if there's any little other tidbits I could pick up that somebody might know. But otherwise, the information of them hiring trackers and you know what, carpenters, builders, you know, mercs, all that stuff would be something that I would keep in the back of my head.
Yeah, most of these soldiers are being worked. Other than just some banter and giving each other some shit, they're really not talking about big plans or anything. Okay. They are worker bees, just like you.
Is there? Because I can imagine that even the boots that we're carrying and things like that would be better than anything that I would actually be wearing at the moment.
Yes.
Is there, when we're taking these things to are we taking them to certain people that are like checking it in and writing it off, marking things down, counting?
Yep. The quartermaster, and he's got a kind of a small staff doing the best that they can to inventory the stuff. And a lot of the soldiers, as it's inventoried, some people are being outfitted because a lot of these people don't have the furs and that sort of thing. So, and that's all being signed out. It's all official. Everything is being accounted for the best that they can. Yeah. But from the place of purchase, so they're in the market, and they've got a couple of people purchasing some stuff, food, and then kind of little groups out there trying to secure stuff. So on your group, it would be like camp supplies, that sort of thing. You would see boots. On the way there from the market to the camp, they haven't updated the ledger.
I think he's gonna try. He would try to, just because it's the way he is from a survival. Like, you make do with whatever you can try to do. Try and get one of the shittiest pairs that just look beat to shit already. I can imagine there varying degrees from used to new, right? So one of the most beat up, piss poor pair, but better than his, and try to sort of sneak into a back area and stick him on his feet.
Right, give me a dex as you try to do this on the sly.
Yeah. You gonna roll it?
Ooh.
Oh, 14. It did go through.
14.
Not bad.
You're fine. Yeah, you're able to I mean, everyone's busy. Everyone's
Mhm.
dealing with their burden. They've got boxes on shoulders and dragging stuff behind them, shouldering 2 sacks of whatever. Oh yeah, you're able to find some cover, sneak on your new boots. Yeah, they are the nicest thing that you have. Otherwise, I
Yep.
think, aren't you wearing like rags or something? What was your clothing that you rolled up?
I rolled frumpy, but I can imagine that it's just it's rags that are just oversized because that's what he was handed. Probably wearing like southern sandals still, like the strappy like Roman style sandal with barely a piece of cloth covering the top of his foot to keep the snow off. Like that's what I envisioned him wearing. So he's just sort of, even over top of the damn sandal, just he'd stick a pair of boots on to try to get his feet warmed up.
The boots are warm, but they're a little too big. But that extra room doesn't matter to you because it keeps out the wet and it keeps out the cold.
Yep.
But you have some shitty boots.
That's going in my inventory. Shitty
That's
boots.
a win.
That's
a win.
a win right now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then throughout the day, I'm sure just kind of passing, I'll see Liam and just kind of like one of those as you're crossing past, like anything pop up for you? Any info?
I don't think we have to worry too much. They're going to be leaving. They're going for a long time. They're not interested in what's happening here. As far as I know, this is kind of a safe outfit.
Well, they're hiring people from the camp. Day laborers, trackers, hunters, mercs. So I don't know what it is that they're trying to do, but they're sure gearing up for something.
Well, that's great for us either way. We can get hired and go with them. Or they're taking away all the resources out of here. There'll be jobs up the wazoo in this camp once they're gone. So we'll be able to find work easily if we don't go with them.
Well, I guess my biggest question, what's your goal around here? Like, what is it that you want to accomplish? Because I was just escaping the kidnappers that took me, so I'm just trying to find my way at some point, figuring out how to get back home.
I think that the Shattered One is a plan, and I've been brought here for some reason. I'm just trying to find it. I want to be useful and help people.
So you want to stick around here is what you're saying.
Maybe my goal is to help you find your way home. I don't know. I think the Shattered One will provide.
Well, I don't know. There's this big outfit sitting here. It seems like we might be able to make some big money depending on what it is they're after. Is it worth hitching with them for a bit, or is that just a death sentence?
They're after war, my friend. They're going to quell a rebellion up in the north. The Wolf Riders are trying to unite the clans, is the rumor going out amongst the soldiers that they brought. And they think they're going there to, I don't know, wipe them, I guess. They want to expand their reach on the north, I believe. So this is going to be dangerous for sure.
That changes things, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, they have their warriors. They are hiring some warriors extra, I'm sure, but I mean, we don't have to go and fight with them, but there'll be a lot of danger. That's for certain.
There could also be a lot of reward. Treasure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things out there in the middle of nowhere.
I mean, have you seen the goods they're bringing? It's better than anything else in this camp, I'm sure. And I'm saying this, but like they're carrying the best gear that's in this camp right now, I'm assuming, above table, right? Who else is better gear than these guys?
There's mercenary outfits here that are well equipped. I mean, the Ebon Hawk, a lot of them are in top gear, so it's.
But if we want to get gear from them, do they have that stuff in stock?
Yeah, potentially.
This army has brought way more than they need, right? In terms of equipment, I mean.
They've got some extra. They don't have a massive armory. And with 70 people.
I thought they had a big one.
Yeah, 70 people. You probably don't think this is like the full, like a full invasion. It's a good size. But yeah, this and it's really hard to get a picture of this map, but the forward camp is lively. There's a lot of resources here, about 3,000 people and more people coming in, lots of mercenary groups, expeditions, other crews, several like so it's not like a giant city, but you can get a good amount of stuff, and there's a lot of artisans out here.
Okay.
The next to the Ironforge or Allegiance up here, they're a guild of blacksmiths, so they're turning stuff out here. Mainly, a lot of outfits are here to make money. It's on the frontier. There's a lot of natural resources, so it's not as destitute as this map might make it seem.
Okay.
But
I think that going
it is a
with
big
these
outfit.
guys will be just so dangerous. It's so dangerous out there, you know.
Well,
I don't, like Liam doesn't feel like he can do a lot of good following them. So like you can tell in the way that he's looking at you that he wants to do what you want to do because he just wants to be helpful, and either way he doesn't really know. He thinks that a path will show up for him, you know, that his life has been guided for some fucking reason because he's a religious, you know, not a little bit. So he believes in that shit. He does.
He sees it as a sign. He's like,
yeah. And so if he makes a friend and a friend needs help, he'll help a friend for sure. But he's letting you know that like this is gonna be dangerous. I don't know, like there's gonna be a reward, but is it really worth it to put your life on the line?
Well, and as you say that, and as you look Boss kind of in his face, he just sort of has a little bit of a flippant, like, stare to him, almost like, you know, big danger comes big rewards. It's the only other thing out here, it seems like for me at this moment, is spending my time trying to hunt what's in a place I don't know.
There's there's opportunity here. What I would say, Boss, with the general feel of these guys giving you, if
you probably wouldn't want to go with them.
If there's spoils, there's really not much in it for you, and if they're basically using people.
You're an outsider to them.
In the back of his head, his thought is.
But it is it's a big adventure.
And in the back of his head, he's going, well, if I get out in front and can try and scout out front, then there's things that I could find before they get there and not let them know about. That was what is like running through his head with the way that he sort of thinks through his situation.
You could also really prove yourself and make a name, and you become someone to these people.
Absolutely, anything can happen.
Yeah, exactly. But you're
it's all a risk in the north.
It is.
There's always going to be a tinge of racism, whether or not you feel accepted. I feel like.
Well, before we make any decisions, let's at least go have the conversation with Ariovistus and see, you know, or at least
does
see if he's going to have a conversation.
Show up?
Yep.
While we're working, does he show up?
As you guys kind of meet and discuss that, just in time, you see a crew of people, maybe a dozen or so mercenaries. Many of them you know by face. You see Batu even, and he is sweating, and he's out there, and you can see his pant leg. He's on crutches, and the pant leg bears no leg beneath it. But he looks pale, but it looks like he's mustering his strength here to show, you know, solidarity with the crew. Ariovistus leads. You see Sadiq and all of the other people following. And they're met with a little bit of hostility. You see the guards kind of stir immediately, seeing an armed group roll up in the way that they did. And immediately who are you? Ariovistus blows past the first man. Another man tries to get in his way, and he stops in front of him and he says, "Get me your leader, or we're going to have a problem, soldier. You don't want to have a problem, do you?" The man takes a step back. Ariovistus, even though he's old, he's a big guy. He's 6'5", I mean, broad-shouldered. He looks lean. He's in full plate. He's not messing around. The rest of the group look pretty severe as well, but he notices something on the chest of Ariovistus. You guys can't really make it out, and he nods and heads out. After a while, some stirring, several guards. These guys are in plate and geared to the nine, like a vanguard, you suspect. They look a cut above the rest of the rabble. And then one man wearing his armor, he appears. And this is what you see. He's quite young. He does not have his helm. He's got black hair that's feathered and swept back, very young and pale. And his armor is extremely fine, pure black. Just he's clearly the leader here. And they begin to talk and said, "Come in." And they head into the tent. And what are you guys doing as this kind of happens?
I'm gonna follow along.
I was gonna try and follow as close as we can to at least have, be able to hear what is being said. But I can imagine with a vanguard behind Kieran and the guards probably right behind Ariovistus, like with Batu and Intel and all that, I can imagine we're probably not getting that close, but we're gonna try and get as close as we can, even if it's like around the backside of the tent that they're going into.
Yeah, they definitely don't let you guys in. They let Ariovistus in and kind of barricade the area, but you can't. You can see him through the tent, and he's meeting with them. The rest of the people, Mavenestra, she sees you, bossed, and she like nudges you with her shoulder, and she puts her hand on you, Liam, on your shoulder. Batu, he nods to the two of you in recognition as well. But mainly, you guys are staring kind of over the shoulders of guards that are blocking the way, but you can clearly see.
I'm going to tell Mavenestra in a small voice what we've learned here, what we think their purpose are, what the rumors are going around, and tell her, we've been here all morning working, trying to figure out why these people are here and what they're doing.
Quintus Varus speaks up and he's like, "Damned crusaders, they are zealots. Sooner they move out of here, the better, I say. If they're bringing war to the north, I think they're in bad news. I really do hope that it's just investigation."
But if they find something, that means what? 300 soldiers, 3,000 soldiers are coming through here next?
It's what I'm worried of, but I know you all are new here, but the north is a wild place. There are many clans, and their numbers are huge, and they're extremely dangerous. But the West has tried to campaign for hundreds of years, and they really haven't gotten a hold. But either way, it's dangerous and scary. Like Quintus is a Westerner too, but the North kind of has a reputation, kind of like Ireland, where we're different people culturally in a lot of ways than the rest of the West. But he knows, he's like, it's possible. I don't know what to expect, but the sooner they're out of here, the better, is what I say. After a while, they look to each other, and Kieran, he smiles wanly, and he nods his head in respect, and he says, "Ariovistus, the Stone Heart. I've heard of you. My name is Kieran of Highcliff." And he bows, and they exchange. Ariovistus exchanges a bow as well. It seems that they're going through some kind of motion. Ariovistus cuts to the chase immediately and says, now that that's out of the way and titles are set aside, what are you doing in my town? And Kieran kind of does one of those like, excuse me. He's
Your town.
Yeah, your town. He's like, I think you forget yourself. However, my business here is on the highest order. And I don't think I need to explain myself. Before he can finish the sentence, Ariovistus slams his hand through a table, just breaks through it and says, your titles and your power and the people that you have here don't mean a damn thing. I want to know what you're doing here. And the man's shocked. He's pulled back again. Like, you could tell that a man of his station is definitely not used to being treated in this way. He looks to the guards, and the guards are like uneasy as well. They're like, there's that exchange of looks like, should we step in? What's going on here? And like, should we? Yeah. But Kieran is cool. His face calms and he raises a hand to like, hey, no. Again, I think you forget yourself, Ariovistus. What I will say, since you're clearly feeling so strongly about this, is that I am here on a mission to civilize this place. I do not want harm. I simply want to spread the word. And I'm here for other reasons. The Owl Clan has some information about a shard, and we are paying a lot of money for that information. And I would like you to stay out of my way. Or I can hire you. I have heard of your outfit. You're mercenaries after all. If you'd like some coin, you can join us. Erebus is like, no way. Like, if you didn't know, I used to be among your ranks. And I know what kind of criminals you guys are. And you can talk about the Shattered One and your mission and cleansing this place all you want. The North will have you. I'm just warning you now. Get out of my town. And Kieran looks at him. He's like, I plan on it anyway. I'll be out of your hair tomorrow. But if you don't want to accept the wager, fine. Now, I've had enough of you. If you please, I've got a lot of preparations to make. And Ariovistus steps away. He comes back out and he packs up his pipe. And the rest of you guys kind of move out of earshot. The rest of the Ebon Hawk kind of like, what the hell was that? People are talking amongst themselves. What happened? What's with the bad blood? And we could, some people are like, dude, we could make some money. Like, what do you mean you're turning away good work? And he's like, Ariovistus, he's puffing away at the pipe. And he's got a real dark look on his face. And he's like, I don't work with them. They're butchers of men. I left to the north because of what they did to my people. I used to be among their ranks, and some of the things that I did in my youth, I'm not proud of. But we do have to warn the people of the north. And he looks to you, Bast, and he looks to you, Liam. Says, if you guys leave, the two of you might be able to make something happen. I'd like to warn the Mammoth Clan. I know where they camp. Could you do this for me? I can send you some aid as well.
Yeah, that's one stone and two birds, right?
It is.
It's like,
Warn them. These crusaders, they just they act like barbarians essentially, just under the disguise of religion.
In my day,
Yes.
yes. You can tell that like the rest of the Merc group doesn't feel that strongly. I mean, they're following orders, but they're like, damn, we lost an opportunity here. But no one questions his decision. He just commands that much respect from the crew. But he's like, the people of the North are a good people. And the clans here, they follow the old traditions. I just want them to be safe. The Mammoth clan, they're basically nomads, is what he tells you. They follow the reindeer and other hunting. If you can find them and just make sure that they steer clear and are aware of these people and not to trust them, I'll pay you.
Sure.
I like that idea.
I'd be happy to help. That sounds like something that could really change some people's lives. I would definitely do this.
Good. Maven Estra, see that they have what they need.
Yes.
And-
How many days of travel do you expect it would be?
On foot, 3 days.
That's
Okay.
assuming having been in the area, if they follow the hunting, I'm assuming they're following herd-based animals like what deer, reindeer could be. Just given knowledge,
It's not guaranteed. Yeah, it's definitely not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed, but given the knowledge of just like that hunt, and I know it's very slim because I'm not from the North, but just as a rough idea, would the areas that we are in, given the time of year, would the animals be that close, or would they be starting to move west, east, north?
He would tell you 3 days to one of the known places, but it's not guaranteed. Because yeah, and you would know that as a survivalist.
Yeah.
You generally understand like there's deer in the south. They're just different kinds of deer.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would know that, and Ariavistas would tell you too. Batu, all of them is like, this is just a known place. From there, you should be able to track them down. You can kind of track them through the snow and through the frontier. But at the minimum, it's going to take 3 days to get there.
Yeah. So we pack for 2 weeks on the safe end. 3 days to the known spot. 5 days or another 3 days of tracking the lead to see if it's close, and then head back if they're not there.
And he says,
Sure.
I'll outfit you now. I'll pay you when I get word that they're there. And Tuya, and he looks to Tuya. If you guys don't remember Tuya, she is the animal handler.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He says, go with them. You know this place. And they'll also need a translator.
Oh, yes, that's right. Nobody speaks Northern in the group.
Yeah. Some of the tribes and some of the people speak the trade language. That's kind of like the common. But yeah, you suspect these tribes are like, there's no way you're going to communicate. But go ahead.
Yeah, we'll bring Zuena also. I'm telling them, like, we'll have to bring Zuena because once we meet them, we'll probably have to trade for some stuff for us to be able to make our way back. And so we'll bring her along. So make sure that we have gear for her as well.
And he looks to Maven Esther and he's like, make it so. And he taps out the ashes of his pipe, tucks it away, and heads back to the camp. The rest of the Merc group following. Sadiq smiling. just kind of a devilish smile, and he's got a coin that he's flipping over his knuckles. And he's like, very well, let's go. Maeve and Esther will kind of usher you guys back to the camp, and you guys will get outfitted with winter clothing each. Both of you roll a 1d20.
Oh, we're bringing Aiden also, eh? He's with
Yep.
us.
Yep. So you got a nice little crew of 5 people.
Yeah.
So you have Aiden, Tuya. She's an animal handler, and she's pretty good with the bow. Aiden, who's a pickpocket.
Man.
And then the 2 of you. Oh, nice. Okay. So Liam, they get you a nice gambeson, helm, and then your choice of weapon and shield or 2-handed weapon.
Weapon and shield.
And they'll get you set up. So
I
winter
already
clothing.
have all that stuff, but it's all like shitty quality.
Yeah,
all one quality.
Yeah, all of it would be refresh quality. It's not bad stuff. It's you get a helmet,
Cool.
shield, weapon, gambeson, winter clothing, new boots. Boss, to roll a 1d20.
Okay.
Or did you already? Oh no.
I don't know. Oh, that's a 12.
11.
That's a 12.
Cool.
It's an 8. That was a 12.
They
Actually, I rolled
they
a 12.
they don't have a helmet for you, but you will also get winter clothing, gambeson.
Okay.
They find that your boots that you're wearing are well enough, so they're not going to give you new boots.
I do not tell them where I got them.
Yeah. And then you guys will also get kind of winter camping gear. So,
okay,
tent, sleeping bag. That's kind of set up for this area. So they're made of skins and furs and that type of thing. So it's 0 proof or whatever, rated at 0 degrees.
Right. Perfect.
And then the rest of the crew will get
rations and obviously food,
yeah.
Enough food to survive on for the 2 weeks.
Tuya is bringing an ox or like a yak.
Yep.
That's their beast of burden. And then she's going to be on a riding horse, which has some saddlebags.
Perfect.
It will be for the 5 of you. It's about 2 weeks is what I'm carrying. And
So,
of course, whatever you guys will carry.
Mm-hmm. The only other thing I'm gonna ask for as they're just kind of and I'm putting the gambeson on, and any chance I can get, just to be on the safe side, maybe another 10 arrows to bring with?
Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. You can get some. They've got that.
Perfect.
They're basic.
Yep.
Basic arrows.
Yep. That's all he needs.
Not metal tip. They're just sharp wood.
Wood, yeah. Which
with some fletching.
Just something to be able to, if we get into a sticky spot, to somewhat protect myself.
Yep. And then I'll give you a party loot. We'll call it the Yickety Yak. Hold on. I'll say that a yak has 40 slots.
Okay.
Awesome.
The Yakety Yak, don't talk back.
Yeah, let me get some yak art.
Yeah.
So the game plan, you kind of gather just, Liam, Aiden, Zuenia up, just enough to have them together, and 3 days there, see where we're at, take a good, a good calculated look at everything, start tracking them out. I say 3 days tops, we follow the tracks before we head back, because that's going to end up, you're talking, it's 12 days. That gives us 2 extra if something comes up.
Sounds good.
And if they're farther than that, then we know we're going to have to gear up a little bit heavier, and by that point it might be, if this mercenary group these Crusaders are going to roll out tomorrow. We're going to have to get out tonight, I think. We want to at least try to get 6-8 hours ahead of them.
Probably should leave today. Yeah, definitely. What's the time currently?
Ooh, that's a good question. You guys did some work. It's getting late. I would say that was 3-4 in the afternoon. So you guys, after getting kind of set up, it's getting into the evening. 6.
Yeah, I mean, we can break from town, but we'll have like 2-3 hours of walk we can do. That's it.
From the work that the Crusaders have been doing, does it appear like when they say that they are leaving tomorrow that they're going to be leaving like at first dawn, or does it
breaking camp for them is going to take a long time?
Yeah, so like
you don't know.
1, 2. Okay.
Yeah, you're not sure.
I think it makes
could be
sense.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense if we can get 2-3 hours out of town to the
we can. If there's still light, we'll take the light. We'll leave, camp out, and then first light.
Even an hour into the dark is we should be okay, as long as we don't wait till it's pitch black with the group we have.
All right.
And then
we do have a spyglass, eh?
Yes.
Just in case. Jeb isn't coming with us, but I'll take the spyglass from him. I'm gonna tell him we're going out on an expedition. I think I might need this. Do you mind?
Yeah. Jeb would give it, and he's like, "Where are you going?" Jameis and Imelda would grab Jeb, and it's like, "It's none of your business, boy. Don't worry about that. Here, take this too." And they give you the bag, her father's bag, and
the nice backpack.
Yes.
Has 3 slots.
3-slot backpack, and then of course you guys also have the map. Don't forget.
Yep.
Give me a second. I'm getting a pack horse set up too. Pack horse has 20 slots.
Perfect. Awesome.
I'm going to create a folder. What the hell should we call? Like animals and other things.
Transports. Oh yeah. Not really a transport.
Well, we can figure that one out.
Here. Pack animals in inventory. Well,
there we go.
A little section. Try to stay organized. You guys are set up.
And then we have.
Hey, we don't have any skills, from our professions when we start.
Nope. No. I think Val did that for you guys. Just a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he introduced the system, I wish we could have learned some skills before we leave, but no time.
We don't have the week to wait.
Yeah.
Nah, we're just gonna.
All right, so
we're gonna roll with it.
So we're gonna hurry this up then. We're gonna go get Zawina, tell her to get ready, get her stuff at Mavenestra, and we'll meet with what's her name? The northern woman that's coming with us.
Tuya.
Sorry, Tuya.
And we'll meet with Tuya at the animals because I imagine she needs to go prep them.
Well, she's gonna prep them, and then we'll be carrying obviously everything over to get them all packed up.
Yeah.
And so we can get the tent, the bed rolls,
well,
probably
Tuya is
water,
actually
rations, all that.
She is a trainer, but you guys are not animal handlers, so.
That's true.
That would have been cool though. Could have learned on the road.
Right.
But maybe you guys level up and go into it. But
yeah, actually, when is the next profession? All right.
Cool.
So how much time does it take? How many hours of light do we have to walk?
If you guys leave, you probably want to eat a meal and then jam out. You really only have like 2-3 hours, not even like 2 hours of daylight.
Yep. And I think,
but it'll get you outside of town where you don't even see. What is that?
Well, I mean, 15-minute miles ish for walking.
Yeah.
We were 8 miles in 2 hours.
It would
I think
be.
If we can get like 12,
It's harsher
that would
terrain.
be-
It's harsher terrain than that. It's going to take double that, probably 30-minute
Okay.
miles, because there's no roads or anything out here. So
That's true.
yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, not north anyway. There is that road south, but north it's. You guys are you're trailblazing right now.
Perfect.
So yeah, I would say at the pace here, we're gonna have to come up with some overland travel pace.
Will you make a chart for all the different types of snow that there is? Because it
Yeah, I'm
affects
gonna
travel greatly.
Yeah.
This
we're
is
gonna
slushy snow. This is a...
At this pace, I'm gonna say you guys, because there's some hexing, probably 2 days per hex.
Okay.
At this pace. So
Perfect. That'll work. And yeah, so we roll out that night. Probably, I think Bost at least would be pretty stoic, pretty just focused on the trail out, knowing that there's not going to be anything really to see. But I think for him, on that way out in the beginning, is just starting to get the lay of the land outside of this camp in a different standpoint than just running through it, trying to get away from what he was getting away from before. And so he's focused. He's trying to just take everything in to see what he needs to learn as quickly as he can as a survivalist to make sure we can hopefully all survive out here.
after 2 hours, you guys, it gets dark. A blanket of stars scatters across the sky, and there are 2 moons in Dithra. I don't know if Val's ever mentioned that, but there are 2 moons.
All right, awesome.
There's one, the large moon, it's huge and purple, and a red moon, which is smaller. It has a moat of dust around it, like rings of Saturn. Not quite as splendid, but you see them in the night sky. And otherwise, you guys find a decent place. And let me move up to the big map. So here you are. The party is here still, technically in this hex. But as you guys push on 2 hours into the deep forest, what starts out as kind of a loose clearing eventually becomes dense and darker as you march through. You break down for camp. Tuya, she's on the back of her horse, who's lazily walking forward. The yak behind you, snorting and grunting as it gets whipped. Multiple times this animal has stopped and just not listened. And then Tuya kind of had to crack the whip literally to get him moving. But you guys set up camp, and you guys are going to... So as a survivalist, you give me a wisdom check. Okay. As you guys set up camp.
11.
You do the best that you can. Boss, you are not used to this kind of climate. You've been here maybe a couple of weeks.
Yep.
You were a slave for a little bit. You've survived out here a little bit, but even then, what you do know is you want to stay close with everybody. You guys get like a lean-to set up best you can to shield from the wind, but the place you find isn't super favorable, but it will do. As you break down, a fire is lit. The red hue is spilling out across your tents, and Tuya, she gets a small kettle, a black one. She begins to melt snow as she sets up some sticks and stuff over it. What you guys are doing for the night as you're camped out here?
I'm not a big camper, so I'm gonna ask Tuya if she needs anything.
She shakes her head. Not really. She doesn't know much common trade tongue, but she just shakes her head. And she kind of pantomimes like stay warm, like rubbing herself. As she throws in some herbs and other things, it looks like she's making tea in her little kettle and offers you guys drinks.
Oh, absolutely. Warm warm cup of tea sitting around a campfire as he accepts it
Oh yeah,
graciously.
she's
So you know
sitting
what?
there. Go ahead.
If we have some time, then I want to learn some Northern with her. So I'm gonna point to things. I'm gonna say, like snow. What's her word for it? And then I repeat it, and I'll do that like with all the objects around us, and then try to introduce more advanced terms.
All of you probably would want to learn. I know Zwinja, that was one of her things, one of her goals
Yeah.
anyway, was to learn. So Tuya, she's hesitant and a bit self-conscious, a woman with the multiple scars across her face. But she does her
I
best.
smile a lot, and
Yeah.
I thank her. I'm like, I'm always like, oh, that's nice. Oh, I like that word.
Yeah. But
It's very encouraging.
but she does how should we do this? Let's say it'll take you guys 10 10 days, not 10 days, 10 lessons to sound like a kindergartner. So if you guys want to track that, just 1 out of 10, you'll learn a couple of words. She's not the greatest teacher. The tongue and the pronunciation's very foreign to what you guys are used to, but you do learn a couple of words here and there. And so we'll say 1 out of 10 so far. You want to mark that on your sheets. And what are you guys doing now before you head to sleep? It is dangerous out here. You might want to keep watch or set something up.
Yeah, we
Don't
need people
know.
to keep watch, definitely.
Boss, before going to bed, is gonna take it probably 4 of his arrows, since I'm figuring they're just some basic wood arrows. Rip up some of the rag, frumpy old shirt that he had, and tie him extremely tight around the tips of the arrow, so so it's packed in, and inside some of that fabric, gonna put I'm assuming we're kind of out here. There's some trees. We're starting to get out into nature with where we are. Taking some
the fires of the forward camp are beyond you.
Yeah.
You can't even see.
Yeah,
You
but I
guys have
mean, like
traveled
we got trees
while
and stuff around us. Like so I'm gonna take bark and put it up inside that fabric, and I'm gonna put it probably 30 paces or so away from the camp in sort of a loose ring, and light them from the fire and walk out, almost like a makeshift torch to give us more light out and around the camp so we can see farther out.
I'm sure you can find wood to do that. You don't need your arrows.
Yeah, there's going to be
I
all
thought you
kinds
were
of
trying
dead
to make
trees.
fire arrows, put sap on the cloth, and just keep them so you can light them up later.
The reason I'm using 4 arrows that I had on me that were busted.
Okay.
So they're garbage anyway.
You'd be able to find all kinds of. It's like a thick boreal forest. There's dead trees and bark and dead pine needles and all kinds of stuff.
Essentially making a ring like 30 paces out from us to give us that little bit more external, further vision for any animals. And I would imagine it would deter potentially some predators from entering. Just that smoke and whatever from the trees and all that.
Awesome. We are going to take turn guards, though. I don't know how we're going to divide it, but I can take first guard. I don't care.
Probably given first night, we probably want to try and keep it short, 2-hour shifts.
Yeah.
Sleep for 8, get up at first light, and let Tua get the rest to take them animals.
Oh, she's already asleep. She is like laying on the yak, like against it. And the pack horse is curled up very close to, like they're all piled in, like sleeping kids or something, just keeping each other warm.
It's like the family and the Croods sleep pile.
Exactly. It's probably the warmest place there.
Yeah,
so
probably.
She's nice and set up there, already asleep. Who's taking the first watch? Liam?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
So the person on watch will have the spyglass. I don't know if
Yep.
it's night, but that might help.
May help. Uh, give me a second here.
That spyglass is a real treasure. It's worth 1,000 copper.
Yes, it is. It may be something you have to hawk if you guys get desperate.
Yeah.
If you can find somebody. Okay, give me a second. Okay. Roll a 1d100, please, and then give me a wisdom check.
29. And my whiz is shit. That's a 4.
Yes, it is.
Spyglass, you find out in this kind of context, narrows your vision down. You're looking down into one area, but your periphery isn't. But luckily for you, nothing really happens on your watch.
Yay.
It's mostly cold and mostly lonely. The stirrings of people sleeping and snoring. Some of the yak lets out a fart. It's mostly quiet. There's long stretches in that 2 hours that are deadly quiet where I guess you look to your higher power, but you are good. And
Awesome.
you go to sleep or head to your pack. And who's second watch?
I'll take the very last watch of the night. He'd probably be up ready, trying to aim where they were. So
Let Aiden or Zuena.
Yeah, let Aiden take it, and
Aiden can go next, sure.
Aiden wakes up and he rolls over. He's like, no. He's like, I don't want to. All right. Oh, God-forsaken place. Liam, I should have never come out here. But he gets up.
You're going to thank me when you get the payday, believe me.
Well, until then, I'm going to bitch about it. And he gets up and dusts snow off his butt. You can hear his knees pop and his back crack, and he stretches. And he goes and takes a watch. Give me a 1d100, and I will roll his whiz.
Oh, damn.
Woof. He falls asleep on watch.
You hear a yell, and we're going to stop there, take our break, and we'll be back in 15 minutes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Good time to And we're back. All right, guys. As you go to sleep, Liam, after your watch, you begin to fade into a dream, the beginning of a dream, and suddenly you're started awake as you hear Aiden call out, guys, increasingly panicked. And I'll slide you over to the map. You can go ahead and drop your tokens. We'll just use this for now. A little wilderness camp. Aiden, he's moving backwards. He stumbles into the fire a little bit, and you see the yellow glinting eyes. Oh, there's one too many on the map. You see the yellow glinting eyes of wolves and ivory fangs as their lips pull back into a snarl. And roll a d6.
Alrighty. Here we go. It was meant to be.
Definitely.
Here they go. It's kind of like a surprise a little bit, so it makes sense.
It's true. The first wolf begins to pad through the snow. It gets down on its hind legs and runs straight and leaps at Aiden, making an attack. It hits.
He's level 1, right?
What's up? He's level 1. He's got 2 HP. Low roll. The wolf comes down, bearing its fangs, grabbing onto him and whipping its head back and forth. He takes 1 point of damage. He has a Gambison, so he takes 1 point of damage. And you can see the fear.
My old helm and shield also, so
you can see that he is feared. This one here, this wolf begins to circle menacingly. This one rushes forward, doing the same. It jumps on him, attacks him at advantage.
Oh, pack tactics here.
11. It's a +3 to hit, so it's 14. What's his AC with all that stuff? Gamison, shield, helm.
14.
Yeah.
Meets it beats. 2 points of damage. Aiden is dead. You see the wolves immediately, the yellow glinting eyes. The first one pounces, breaks through the snow. He falls back. It's wagging its head, tearing at its leg. The other one comes down in a decisive blow on his throat. And he lets out a yelp, and he is killed immediately.
Because with DR, no matter what, it's 1. Even if your
DR goes
over, it's a minimum of 1.
Yeah, that's right. This wolf begins to circle menacingly. This guy is not here. All right, your turn. You see Aiden. He falls. Shouldn't have fallen asleep on his watch. What should have happened?
Well, I imagine.
Don't feel bad though.
Yeah, I imagine Boss, being a survivalist, was kind of curled up, had his bow next to him. Not necessarily at the ready, but enough that it was just pick it up and go. Takes a step back, seeing the wolf over here that started to circle. Is gonna pull that bow back, aim it like he's hunting, trying to go right at that center mass, right in behind the front leg, and we'll take a shot with the bow. 22.
That hits.
For a D6.
That's actually a crit.
Oh, okay. So for 5 total damage on it.
As you knock the arrow and pull it back, it shoots through the air and finds purchase. It lets out a small yip before the arrow punches through its body and it falls dead.
Sorry, it was this one back here.
Oh, you
Okay.
wouldn't get a clear shot on that one.
Oh, okay.
It would be a disadvantage. He's like in the trees.
Disadvantage. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's at night also, so the region outside of the fire is like
Yeah.
really dark for us.
Yeah, both of these are like, yeah,
In the
they're
tree.
in
Okay.
cover and.
So then it would have been a 13 to hit, so I'm assuming not a crit. It would have been then 1 damage instead.
Yeah, 1 damage, and it is alive. You definitely hit it. Let me bring this one back to life.
Yep.
Couldn't get a clear
I-
shot and hit its shoulder.
Yep.
Can I pass by the fire and just like what I want to do is with my shield, just like bash some logs or whatever onto the wolves before I attack them? Like, so I want to come in, like, just shoot some fire on them and then come in with my axe.
I'd say take an action to do the act of flinging, but you can definitely fling hot coals at him.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
All right. I guess just a standard strength is good.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
I imagine Liam comes up, he scoops up hot cinders, flails it out. It affects both of these wolves. They both kind of pull back. This one is injured. You can see it pull back as a huge log gets whipped across its head and its fur is kind of burning slightly. The other one is messed up. Tuya moves in quickly, drawing a long knife out of her waistband, and she chops. That hits. That is not a crit. And kills it. You can hear the sickening sound of blade into flesh as she grabs it by the back of its neck and just straight through the spine. She has butchered animals before. You feel. Next round. Let's roll it.
All right, Liam. Get us another round.
4, yes.
Got there. All right.
Go.
So I'm gonna come in with the advantage and say, "Die, you mangy beast!" Attack with my axe. Does that work?
20 hits. Come down with the axe and it
Nice.
finds purchase. Let's see that damage. And it's dead.
5 damage.
It is dead. How do you do it as the axe comes down on this thing?
So it's a little singed from the fire, and I come in and I strike right where it's hot, and I cleave its spine in half.
Nice. Yeah, I imagine like you throw it, the cinders, it kind of peels back, and then you run behind it, like almost like a flashbang. You can't really see what's going on, and you decisively just slash this thing down. All right, boss. Do you see the second wolf go down? What are you doing?
I run, start coming. Once I see the second one that's towards the fire go down, I run up towards the edge of the fire, drawing the bow, specifically aiming towards the one that I saw here. But I'm going to hold that shot until it comes within range out of the trees.
Very nice. Tuya, she backs up
Towards the fire.
towards the fire, but also kind of a shoulder with you.
Awesome.
She'll be right here over Aiden's dead corpse. And she also holds, she's got her long knife drawn. It's like your Crocodile Dundee, like huge Bowie knife.
Yeah.
But she's ready.
That's
this-
a knife.
This wolf runs forward. You see its sparkling yellow eyes glinting in the fire as it leaps out. Tuya, she grabs the hilt of the blade and drives up as it comes in. That hits. It's like in those movies, it jumps and she braces the hit. Yep. Hits it right in the heart. She flings it over to the side. It lets out a yelp. It kicks its leg and it dies. This one too, almost in unison, starts rushing towards you, Bost.
Yep.
Comes out of the tree line. Its yellow eyes and white fangs.
Oh.
Its speed is faster than you expect. It's like a
Yep.
shadow moving across the white. Comes here. 17 to hit
Yep, it hits.
for 2 damage. It clamps
Okay.
down on you.
Sort of tucks sideways, and it grabs right on the edge of the gambeson, just piercing right one tooth just underneath or just above the, the armhole right in the side.
And the wolf, this is probably your first time dealing with the wolf. The thing is way bigger than you expect. And
Yeah.
its powerful jaws, like it doesn't get flesh, but it just ringing its head side to side is enough to like, oh, this is a powerful beast.
Yep.
Roll that initiative.
Yes.
Let's see it. It's got you, boss. What are you doing?
I'm going to attempt what I want to do since it's on me. I pull an arrow, and as a melee attack, like a knife, I try to just jam it right into the side of its neck.
Hell yes. Roll.
Before you do that, I'm gonna come behind it, kind of let it know that I'm there.
Okay. So, do you want me to just roll it like an improvised weapon?
Yeah, just do like a strength check, and then it'll be a D6 damage.
And then,
Oh, that crits.
I was saying, do I need to roll is it with advantage with him behind me then?
Yeah.
I mean, it crits anyway, but you
Yeah.
said D6 of damage, so
Yep.
1, 2,
It explodes.
3.
I imagine it's on top of you. You fall backwards. You reach for your weapon, but it's out of range. You grab from your quiver an arrow, slamming it right through its skull. Just,
Yeah.
Its gnashing jaws, like right in front of you, just spitting. And you throw its body off of you. And you're all breathing hard, ragged. It's cold. Aiden is dead next to the fire, and Tuya, she wipes the blood off of her blade on her pant leg and tucks it away. And she looks to you like, "Are you okay?" And she mouths the words relatively. She does her best. She's got a thick accent, but she looks to you, boss. Are you okay?
And in the best northern I can muster from the night before, gonna attempt to say yes and hope that it comes through as I'm shaking my head yes.
And she looks to you, Liam, and she doesn't say anything, but she's got that look like, "You okay?"
I'm good. I'm gonna strip our friend of the helm and the shield, which I'm gonna keep, but he'll keep the rest, and I'll clean the body, and I'll dig a grave. I'll take the time before I go back to bed.
Tuya will take some time. She's also a survivalist, boss. She's a novice like you, but she attempts to skin and dress these wolves. She's like, she mouths it. Food, okay. Fur, good.
Mm. And I'll help her with that.
Yeah.
But I will, as Liam is stripping Aiden's body, would you I know you already have one. I don't. I never want to see anybody. This is the first, like, he's getting a little bit like choked up from seeing the actual like dead body, but can I take the helm?
Sure. Be my guest.
And so he'll put the helm on, so at least he has one. And then he'll help Tuya.
Okay, give me a wisdom. This will be an advantage. I guess. Yeah, roll it. It's good. You get 4 average wolf pelts. 3 days of rations. And Tuya begins to gather like the fat. She's scraping the fat from the meat, what she can, from the joints, different things. And she starts collecting it. She wants to collect the tallow. As a survivalist, you'd know that tallow's got a ton of different applications. She tried to render that down as much as she could from these things, and it could be used for oil, basically, for lots of different stuff. So,
and now we have the fuel for fire arrows.
Yep. Nothing goes to waste. Best she can. I mean, everything. The bones.
Yep. I am gonna take a. I can imagine with how big these things were. I want to take a femur from one of the animals. It'd just be an improvised weapon is what I'm going to attempt to make. But a femur with 2 of the teeth, 2 like the fangs, the canines, the big long ones, to make almost like a makeshift warhammer with the fangs coming off of each side. I'm sure it's going to take me some time to make it, but I'm going to attempt to do that with some like leather strapping and.
Yeah, it would take some time, probably better suited as it's getting late and you guys want to gather your strength. But with that being said, the events from the camp, traveling here, the combat, taking on a new quest and finding all this out, you guys get 1,000 experience points before you sleep. Poor Aiden, unfortunately, he does not make it. Liam, you bury him in a shallow grave, I'm assuming, somewhere. Best you can. What kind of ritual? What does that look like? I'll let you make that up. But what does that look like when you bury the dead?
I said a few words. I didn't know him very well, so... It would go something like, our friend, our follower, Aiden, this great beacon of the light today passed and returned to the Shattered One to be one again today. And he will be missed, even though we didn't know him very well. He was a friend to us, and all of us today have lost something that we will never get back, but we will always remember. May he be one forever. And then, that's it.
Okay, you say a nice prayer, bury him in his grave. Boss, were you... I don't know if that's something that would interest Boss to take part of.
I think the only thing he would do from his standpoint is like using some of the bones of I'd say like the rib cage bones or something of the wolf that actually killed him, would make something like a makeshift cross. I don't know what the Christianity, it's a cross, right? Whatever that would kind of look like in his idea of somebody that really doesn't follow religion, just to
I imagine
a headstone, right? Just a marker.
Yeah, I imagine for the religion itself, for the Shattered Path. That's the name of the religion, the Shattered Path. I imagine it's like a stone, so maybe like a diamond type shape or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe
like 3 sticks to represent the 3.
Oh yeah, that could be like a V type.
But he'd do it out of bones from the wolf that killed him, as more of a almost like, I can imagine in the South with how savage that can be from everything. It's almost like the revenge piece to what happened, using the bones of the thing that killed him.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much universally understood as respect. Like we got him, we got him back for you. Yeah, because the people of the South in the West, they don't necessarily get along. They're kind of a clash of cultures. The people in the South, they do ancestor worship. Right. So it's kind of like your bloodline and your family. In the West, of course, it's very different. But all people pay respects to the dead. You guys go back to sleep. Tuya, she tends to the animals. I imagine during that time they were spooked. They were tied down and whatever, but you guys make it to sleep and level up, of course, if you had enough experience to level up, which I imagine you did.
Yeah.
And we will go back. The next morning comes as the sun breaks over the horizon. Its warmth is comforting and it breaks through the tree line. As you guys wake up to a kind of a twilight of a morning, it is cold and the sky seems that rain is coming at some point. Maybe not now, maybe in a few hours, but doesn't look great. You pack up, get the animals fed, get yourselves fed, warmed up. Tuya still has some of that tea, and it does contain like some kind of stimulant, caffeine, what have you. You do feel a little bit better. It brings some warmth into your belly. And you guys continue on. So let me mark on the map one of the known locations here.
And that's the Mammoth Clan that we're going at. Yep.
This is one of the hunting grounds. Yep.
Yep.
I mean, that you know of.
Yeah.
So again, on foot's going to take you guys a couple days. 2 days per. So it's really on the third day you're going to arrive there.
Is
roughly.
As we're moving, is the snow getting thicker and deeper? It's not as packed down, so it's like that light fluffy.
Light fluffy. You're stepping through it. Some places it's calf, mid calf. Other places it's up to your waist. That's why it's really hard to cut through this. The bison and the horse is doing a decent job in front of you guys. And I imagine you guys are following behind in the wake, but
can I
go ahead.
Before we were, I'm sorry, I just was looking at terrain and thinking of something here. Can I try and find, like, kind of while we're walking this day, find saplings or bendable twigs? The idea is I want to try to make snowshoes, or what I would assume snowshoes are, since I'm from the south where it's hot as shit.
It would be unlikely you would even know what that is. The south doesn't even have snow. I mean, you might be able to engineer, but you're not a carpenter. It's just unlikely you'd be able to fashion something like that.
I had to ask the question.
That's fair and gotta ask. Yeah. You would know, of course, like spreading out your weight would be more ideal. It's something that, but making something like that. And even Tuya, she's like, we don't do that type of thing. Maybe skis might be a good,
I'd be like,
yeah.
Skis? Is that a northern word? Skis? I don't know if I've ever heard that word.
Mm-hmm. Tuya's acclimated to this place, but she relies on her animals to cut through this. The yak does a decent job, but you guys are at slow pace.
No worries. So what? I think I would probably be just as that survivalist, kind of trying to figure out a language I could have with Tuya, enough to say, like, can you, if you see, point out, looking for tracks, because I'm not even sure. I in my head I'm thinking I'm just looking for people tracks. I don't even know what kind of animals they might roam with. I'm looking for any sort of game tracks, like where there's areas where you just have that game that run through. So that's the kind of thing I'm keeping my eye out for, as far out as I can see. Even at times taking the spyglass and just sort of looking out just to see if I can see something.
Yeah, go ahead with advantage. Give me a wisdom. Definitely, I mean, you don't know the specifics, but you do know animals will leave trails. You can see all kinds of, stuff here. With the 15, With the 15, you do find some game tracks. Tuya, she nods as you kind of point them out and find them. She mouths a word that you guys are unfamiliar with, but they look like some kind of cloven hooved animal. The animal's not huge. It's smaller than a horse.
Does it look like it's going in the same direction we are heading, or does it look like it runs in the opposite direction?
It runs north by northwest, so
Okay.
kind of
A little
this way.
sort of opposite of the direction
Yeah.
we know that the hunting ground is in.
Yep.
Does
But
it
you do
look-
find there's not a lot of them. You
Okay.
do suspect it's a small herd, maybe 6, 7,
of
something like that.
whatever it is.
Exactly. Tuya has a word for it, but
Yeah.
she knows what it is. But.
And so I guess the only thing that I would do, like, again with communicating, would be do we go or do we stay? And like, do we go this way or do we stay this way? Pointing at the tracks and pointing the direction, and then pointing the direction that the map is telling us to go to the hunting ground.
Tuya doesn't. She's like, either way is fine. She's not one way or the other.
So then I'll turn Liam. We have some tracks for a small group, maybe 6 or 7, something cloven. I'm not sure I've never seen the tracks before, but it's definitely an animal. But it's heading a little bit in the opposite direction of the way the map says to the hunting grounds. A little bit more like northwest versus northeast.
And keep in mind, these hexes are fairly big. They're
Yeah.
going to take you 2 days just to get
Yep.
out.
Yep.
So it's 24 miles per hex. So
Okay.
you guys are officially in this one.
I mean, the good thing is we kind of have an idea where they are. If we get to the hunting grounds and we can't track, we can always hit these on the way coming back too. Because unless we get a massive snowfall, they're going to be here. We have I have a pretty general idea in my head of where we're at the moment. I mean, it's only been 6 hours ish of travel, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would check more the hunting ground where we were sent. I'm gonna trust the information that was given to us. If they were to follow a herd, there would be more tracks, no?
If the herd was gone, I would assume that if they were coming back this way to follow them, yes, we would be seeing people tracks, not just animals.
Right. Yeah, we can check it out on the way back if we don't find them there. Circle back around and do that.
Okay. Sounds good to me. So I'll kind of tap Tuya on the leg and just keep pointing towards the direction of the map.
She lets out a cry, yeah, as she whips the yak, and it bellows a little bit, and its bell on it, starts ringing. She cracks it again, and it gets going. You guys will travel. So I would say that was kind of the first half of the traveling day. You see that, you track it. This is going to be the back half. Give me a 1D100, please, and thank you.
I think that's my turn, right?
Who's rolling it?
I think that's my turn, so.
Go ahead.
55.
Okay, let me see here. All right. As you guys push on, breaking through the snow, Tuya urges you guys to kind of go around. I don't even know what to explain. It's like not an embankment, basically like a hill. There's a hill kind of in the way that juts out of the forest. The trees, it's stony. The trees grow around it, but it's bare of trees upon it. And she nudges to go around eastward. As you guys make it around this place, you see in the distance a cave, and she nods towards it as if to say, we could camp there potentially. Like, hey, look at that. But you guys come across basically a small mountain. I don't know how to explain, a hill,
Yeah.
but it's got a cave.
Cool.
We should scout it before
That's
we
the
just.
day, yeah.
But we should scout it before we just walk in. We want to ensure there's nothing already living in there.
It's probably a good idea.
I'm gonna
Indeed.
find a tree branch, kind of the same thing. Make a torch. Knowing you're going into a cave, it's probably going to be dark. Create a torch. I'm assuming we have flint and steel, which is how or something along those lines, which is how we created the campfire. Spark up the torch and sort of ease along the edge of the actual cave.
No, I would say you don't have flint and steel. Does iron work? Steel is extremely rare. Like, well, you're not just gonna have a piece of steel.
I mean, the idea of flint and steel, like whatever, as long as you have a flint rock, as long as you have whatever can spark off of it, any kind of metal, it would work.
Okay.
But
yeah,
however we created a campfire, I'm assuming
you guys will be able to do it. It's it's probably just spinning sticks, like a what do they call them? The bows. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. But you guys would be able,
as survivalist, I imagine, is something you've learned.
Yeah, you guys can start.
Technically, I mean, you can actually take an ember from a fire and wrap it up into an ember carrier and carry it for hours. Yeah, and then drop it back into a fire and it'll reignite from that single ember.
But you guys, we'll solve that. We won't gamify. Yeah. You can start a fire. Just
okay. Yes. And then try to ease along the edge of the hill up to the cave mouth, so to trying to be quiet, trying to stay somewhat out of the way. So if anything were right there at the mouth, just so we can start to do a little bit of an exploration in before we just barge in and set up camp.
Yeah, if you guys kind of scout the area, really not much to see. You'd have to be fairly close for the torch to illuminate the inside, but maybe 50 yards away from where you can see there's no activity, there's no animals, there's no tracks in or out. So it's been long abandoned as far as you can tell.
Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and then and walk, start to kind of get up close and start to ease into it and just kind of take a good gander inside to see what we see. How deep is it? Does it go like way back into the hill?
No, it's pretty shallow. It's maybe 15 feet deep, something like that. Perfect. It's a good size for you guys to kind of fit in there. But as you investigate the area, you see the outline of a body curled up in the back. Its knees pulled up against it, and its head bowed forward. The head is wearing a helmet that glints in the light of your torch.
So I'm just gonna tap, like, kind of reach over and tap Liam's arm and point. You see that?
All right. Yeah, I see that. Does it look alive or dead? It's a body of a deceased person?
Yeah.
Or I can't tell, yeah?
You really can't tell, but it's definitely not moving.
All right, I'm gonna
give a whistle. Just kind of that, like, shrill sort of echo whistle through the cave to see if it moves on that high-pitched.
Roll for whistling.
Yep. The whistle echoes throughout the cave, and the body does not stir.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna keep my shield in one hand, but I'm gonna have my other hand free, and I'm just gonna pull the helmet off.
As you pull the helmet off, its head rolls forward. It's like a desiccated flesh. It's not a skeleton, but it almost looks mummified. As you pull it, its head kind of lolls to the side, frayed hair, dried skin, sunken cheeks. This thing has been dead and frozen here for a long time. Gripped in his hand is a bronze knife, and the helmet is a standard helmet of a poor quality. It's got one quality, and it is of an old time fashion. Like, this thing could be 100 years old, as far as you know.
Damn. Any markings that would identify this person?
Nothing on his stood the test of time. The clothing is like threadbare and eaten away by the elements. Other than the strange kind of fashion of the helmet, it's really hard to say. Unless you guys are a scholar, you might be able to know that, but
I mean,
Nope. All right.
definitely gonna take this and pull the dagger out of its grip, out of its bony mummified grip.
yeah, it's dead. You have to like snap the fingers off the
Yeah.
hilt, like it breaks away. It's a copper dagger. When you look at it, the blade is nice and heavy. There's some patina with age, and but the handle is very beautiful. Looks to be some kind of ivory or horn that it's cut out of, and the workmanship is exquisite. It's probably the nicest thing, boss, you've ever even held in your hand. Being a poor knave
Yeah,
yourself.
just kind of holding it and rolling it over in his hands. Like, this is gorgeous. Like, you ever seen anything like this, Liam?
Can't say that I have. It's certainly very nice. I hope it serves you well, better than this person.
That, and I mean, you can make some money off this if we needed it too. Like, it's just have this just sitting out here. Man, well, we should
Sure.
get.
Maybe you find a place to sell it.
I'm sure we can find a place to sell it when we get back, but either way, I think this looks like a good place to set up camp. We can use the edge of the cave and bounce that firelight off of it, warm it up pretty nicely, not have to sleep in the cold, quite as much of a cold.
Yeah,
So
definitely. This is going to be better than last night.
Step, out the mouth of the cave and sort of give the whistle to Tuya and wave her forward with the animals.
Yeah, she you see her on horseback. She cracks the whip on the back of the yak a couple times and it finally moves begrudgingly. But she heads into the mouth and she sees the body and sees you handling this copper dagger, and she kind of tilts her head to the side. I imagine Zwinja is immediately on that shit. She's like, "Oh, what is this? Hold on." She's like, "You know how much money we can get?" But she looks to the body. Tuya heads to the body and goes on one knee and investigates it. She kind of pushes the head aside and it falls backwards in a heap. Its knees kind of frozen up towards its chest, so it just kind of falls to the side. And she looks to you and she says, "Old, first kingdom, very old." And and she looks to boss and says, get out of here, or get out of here. Just kind of broken English or broken common.
Yeah,
get this thing out of here.
And I'll pick it up and sort of find a place kind of nestled back in the trees a little ways and just sort of dump the remains, use some snow to kind of wipe off I imagine like the little bit of dusty grit that's off of it, kind of clean myself up a little bit and come back.
It's got like frost clinging on it, and it's it's and the body is like a husk that's frozen with its knees up to its chest. So like when you pick it up, it's way lighter than you would expect it. But yeah, you go and take care of the body.
Yep. And then we set camp up for the night.
It's nice and cozy. Once you guys get the fire going, it starts to kind of warm up the area, and for once you can feel comfortable. Tuya, she takes off her boots and sets them next to the fire, and her bare feet are like inches away from the fire, and she begins to kind of dry her stuff out. Her thick clothing, she throws off a mantle and a cape, and for once you now see kind of her womanly figure as she kind of pulls off the layers, and she sits next to the fire and begins to make her tea again. And then this time she begins to cook as well, cracks open like some of the rations. I imagine it's like a barrel of salted pork or something. And she just throws it on the end of the knife and just, cooks right over it, kind of hunched over. And once the piece is done, she'll hand it off to Liam or whoever's nearby, and she'll throw another piece on the edge of the knife and do the same. Make sure everyone's fed.
I'm also just knowing we have some, from a survival standpoint, having some still somewhat fresh skinned wolves. I want to try and lay them out so that way the heat from the fire will help sort of dry the inside, dry whatever, justicial fluid and stuff that was on the inside of that skin. Just try to dry some of that out so it'll preserve it so they don't start to rot before we get back. Get those hung up in the cave a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. You guys could roast those things up too. You probably should.
Yep.
It is cold, but they will go bad at some point.
Yep.
For the most part, it's nice and cozy. The animals seem to be happy with themselves. They're watered and fed. Tuya makes sure to feed them by hand with what she's got. The yak is outside of the cave, kind of grazing. It's chewing up roots and just crunching on pine cones and just eating whatever. This thing's a beast. The horse is a little bit pickier, and she has to feed him oats or whatever else that they actually had to bring feed with them. And the night comes as it did before. Do you guys take watch?
Yep.
All right. Who's got first shift?
I'll take first shift for tonight.
Cool. And I'm assuming you guys will have your lesson. So we'll say lesson number 2. You guys start communicating back and forth. Tuya does her best. She says food, and she says knife, and yak, and whatever
wolf.
Other order. Yep. Yes, wolf. Some
Track.
all the new shit that you guys came across.
Yeah.
You already learned snow and trees, which is the land has plenty of. So, cool. Roll me a perception.
That's wisdom, right?
Yeah, sorry. Wisdom.
A 12.
12 is decent. Boss, you take the first watch. The fire crackling at your back. I'm sure you're a little bit more laid back, kind of leaning against the mouth of the cave, but nothing stirs here. It's extremely quiet. There's a hush as the clouds that you saw earlier start to come in, and the 2 moons are blocked out, and it's eerily dark. But luckily you have the fire, and it's you just see the dancing shadows kind of spilling out, but it's very calm and serene. And I imagine you probably reflect on how the hell did a guy from the south make it all the way out here?
Oh yeah, just all the crap running through his head of everything that he's gone through, and to actually be not in his element but in his element, if that makes any sense, is he almost has a delight sort of rush over him of just being back doing what he does, even if it's not an area he's ever done it before.
One thing is true, he is a survivor. Your watch goes by fine, and you feel a hand on your shoulder, Bast. And Tuya, she appears next to you, and she gives you a nod, and she does her watch.
Hand her off the spyglass, and but just before going to bed, I'll just make sure to pour her another cup of her tea. Give it to her before I lay back down.
She'll take it. She pulls off her gloves and cups the warm tea. You can kind of see steam trails leading up. She takes a few sips and she begins her watch. Okay. Yeah, things are good. It's quiet too. The weather gets worse. In the distance, you can kind of hear thunder echoing. You see a flash of light and maybe a 5-second delay. So you know the storm is some ways off in the distance, but it's coming. She heads to sleep. She wakes you up, Liam, with a warm cup of tea ready for you. And she
I thank her greatly.
And she heads back. She stokes the fire a little bit and then heads back to her sleeping spot next to the animals.
All right, so I immediately go back to sleep.
And then the wolves come out. Give me a 1d100 and give me a wisdom.
All right, my wisdom is. I'm gonna have to invest in wisdom, I think.
Yeah,
that's average.
56.
Cool. Let me check something here.
Super average.
Literally, you are pretty much average across the board.
Average isn't bad as long.
Liam is just an average guy.
So far. But even average people can become heroes. The night goes without a hitch. The storm is getting closer. Now the flash of lights and the thunder that follows is only a 2-second delay. You can feel the winds pick up and the humidity kind of increase.
That static electricity in the air a little bit too, like.
Yeah, you can feel the storm. You can smell kind of the rain in the distance, and you know it's coming. But you head off to bed, and Zawinia wakes up. She takes her last. And I don't want to run his character and she gets murdered, so we're just saying that the rest of the night just goes fine. It's like, oh, by the way, since you weren't here, Val, she's dead now. We'll give her a pass. Morning comes, and it is bitterly cold. All of you are probably woken up by the storm that's directly on top of you. Lightning, wind kicking up. The animals are a bit afraid. The horse, Tuya, puts blinders on it, and the yak is kind of bellowing to itself, uneasy. And there is heavy rain outside where you guys are. You can feel just like through the wind kind of sweeping in, just sheets of it on you guys. You're out of the rain, but it's coming through the mouth and it's uncomfortable. But it's definitely
rain, it's not snow.
It's rain.
Oh,
it's
shit.
like sleet, but it's
That's
mostly
super
rain.
Dangerous, actually.
Yes.
I don't think an army would move in weather like that. Maybe we should sit still. We have great cover where we are. We should just let the day pass, or the storm pass at least.
If they left out yesterday, they have a day of travel.
And then they'll hit it.
Hit it. But they may not. It depends on where they're at. If they're just out in the middle of the open, at least if I'm just out in the middle of the open without cover like we have right now, I'd move in it because I want out of it as quick as I could.
Maybe
they'll have all their tents set up though.
You would know the one thing that's nice about your crew. You're small and you're mobile. Getting 60, 70 men through a thick boreal forest is going to be much harder. Just literally the bandwidth and the logistics and whatever else. So that is potentially a game.
And breaking camp is a couple hours for them.
Exactly, and they might march through it. Kieran might push them in. I mean, it's a gamble. You're not sure, but Tuya would agree with you, Liam.
It's super dangerous.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not going out in there, especially with the animals.
I think I'm outnumbered, so stoke the fire, and I'm gonna.
You're the risk taker.
I'll go out. The only thing I'll go out and do is gather as much before the embers of the fire die. I'll gather as much firewood as I can and stack it next to it so it has time to dry.
I'll chop that wood for you.
Yeah, smart.
And stack it.
As you go out, it is actively storming. So give me a 1d100. You might catch. Hopefully, you don't catch an illness. You're okay. We already played this game once. You go out there.
It's
you
my
gather
lot in life.
you gather a nice bundle. but you definitely call it after maybe 30 minutes. You're like, yeah,
Yeah.
I can't. It's
Just
you're gonna catch her dead.
and I
Brutal.
didn't go. I obviously didn't go far. Like it was whatever was right out. 50, 60 yards, 70 yards out from the cave mouth, enough to hopefully keep that fire stoked basically all day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come back in and like strip everything off, set as much of it off as I can, set it next to the fire, huddle up with whatever I can that we have for warm clothes next to it, like rocking and shivering.
Oh yeah.
Tuya, tea.
It's already. She's got the kettle is on there
constant.
constantly. Yeah, that's one of the ways you survive. You just keep the temperature.
Yep.
And you want to be hydrated too. People forget, like, you can get dehydrated out there too. Yep. Actually, Tuya would come to you, seeing you basically shirtless. She drapes her cloak around you, and she brings the horse nearby, and she pats it, and it sits down next to you, and kind of snorts like horses do, leans against you, and you can feel its warmth. And she just kind of nods like, hey, be careful, and you might die, but it's a kind gesture.
And I imagine one of the first things in that first day that we learned was how to say thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Just like,
danger.
Yeah, like thank you, like just giving her as much praise for that as possible, because he knows that what he did could have been stupid, but letting that fire go out in a storm like this would have been even more stupid. So,
oh yeah, and Tuya, she sits across from you on the fire, and you hear her start making a noise like, and a small like mouse comes out of her pocket, and she's got it palmed in her hand, and she's like, she kind of looks at it, and she feeds it from the palm of her hand. Little stowaway she must have found here. Another animal that said, yeah, I'm getting the fuck out of this. So but yeah, you guys hang out. I mean, there's not much to do. You kind of have to batten down the hatches. So
probably just talking about I can imagine us just sort of kind of game planning for that next day. What do we do when we actually find them? What's the trying to find a way to communicate with Tuya enough to say, when we do find the Mammoth clan, what is protocol? Like, what should we do? Are we to approach immediately? Do we need to let you approach by yourself first? And then, like, trying to, as in the broken trade language, get an idea of what is going to happen once we do find them, if we find them.
Yeah, basically what she would convey, after you guys have all day to talk through the specifics, what you would convey is, I talk, you listen. They don't like outsiders, but they are good people, and they will treat you fairly, is what she'd say. She's like, okay, not my kin, so be respectful. So she's not Mammoth Clan. And what you would know, you probably would have heard this around camp multiple times. Some people of the North, they're known as Frostwalkers. It's kind of derogatory, but okay. Frostwalkers, that's the name that they call Northern people who have no clan. They're like the clanless. And that could be for a number of reasons. The people who live in the Forest of the Ancients specifically, a lot of them are just kind of isolated families. They would be individual clans, but none of the big clans here. So people would call them Frostwalkers, and they call each other Frostwalkers. Just kind of like,
Yep.
Some people think it's a bad thing. They say it, some people not so much. They're like, yeah, I'm proud to be it. That's just who I am.
Okay.
So, but anyway, she's like, I'm not their kin, so be respectful. I talk, you listen. Don't do anything stupid.
I like that dynamic.
Yeah, don't do anything stupid.
Liam, any insights you have to share for the rest of what we have coming up. How are you feeling about all this?
I'm not really a man of travel. This is a lot for me. Out in the cold like this. I'm just really eager to get this done and find some more safety and security. A little sad we lost a companion. It still weighs on me. And makes this place feel a lot more dangerous when there's one person that's already gone.
Yeah, and you guys came across someone who died a long time ago, alone and cold
Yeah.
here. It's pretty unforgiving.
And then seeing another one of our possible fates. Yes.
Yeah, that could have just as easily been you.
Very. I'm just trying to keep the hope up, you know.
At least you're not alone.
That's right. And one of the kind of the recurring themes is that in this remote part of the world, cooperation's not just beneficial, but necessary for survival.
Yep.
Definitely.
The storm
Very thankful that Tuya's there.
Yeah. The storm rages on through the night. It does kind of die down to a pitter patter, and you guys wake up. You didn't sleep very well as you could in that kind of situation. You're tired. You're cold. You're achy, but you march on. The snow is no longer packed. It's hard crusted ice, melted, and it's just, I don't know, I've never been this, but I imagine rain on top of snow has left ice patches, and it's just difficult to get through.
Usually there's like a crust and you'll break through it because we're too heavy, and and underneath that is like moist packed snow when you go through it. It's heavy as fuck.
With puddles.
It's not cool to go through.
And if it rains hard enough, then you have
super
puddles
wet
inside the snow, and it's gross.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Yeah, I imagine like you step on it, it bears your weight for a little bit, and then suddenly it's like you break through it.
It gives way every step.
Yeah, and you guys are just fucking done with it. But the first day you trudge through, the pack animals doing their best to kind of break through the initial pack. But it is cold and it's miserable. The humidity, you're breathing raggedly, your nose is running. I mean, all of the not fun stuff of traveling through bitter cold. And
Boss looks over at Liam. Right now is the time I wish I had a really big beard.
Well, you got time to grow one, friend.
Just above with living in a cold climate, having a beard actually keeps you warm when it's really cold outside.
Does make a difference, definitely.
Also, I'd imagine you guys have some kind of beard going. Your knaves. It's not like you have nice shaving kits.
But it's funny because in this cold climate, you'll have ice just coating your beard, but then it insulates, so then you're warm.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding, dude.
Yeah,
it really does.
I believe it.
It's excellent.
Yeah, you guys are covered in a light rime of ice. Tuya, everybody, the animals, you're trudging through. You're tired. The terrain is difficult. The weather is relented some, but the cold wind just kind of slices through you. First half of the day goes fine. Give me a 1d100.
This one is mine.
It is.
All right, no way.
98.
29.
Okay, I don't run it like Val, where it's like a degree of failure or whatever. There's some stuff. Hold on.
It's a table of randomness
Mm-hmm.
with different ranges.
Oh yeah.
It's like the Wild Magic Surge table.
Yeah, it's okay. So as you guys break through in the second half of the day, the sun begins to set. You can't really tell. It's kind of overcast throughout the day, but you do see purples and oranges as the sun sets, and you come across a trail. Trail is quite large. Looks like a lot of animals have broken through here, and Tuya's the first to see it. She's on horseback, and she whistles to you guys and points off into the distance. Boss and Everett, you'd see it fairly easily. I mean, it cuts through multiple snowbanks. And she says, we're on the right path. And that's really
Go
it.
go up and try and study it to see, is this like a back and forth trail where it looks like they're going both directions, or is there a single direction to the path?
One direction. It's heading northeast, and
Okay.
by your calculations, though, it's a four-legged animal.
Yep.
200. I mean,
Wow.
the area's annihilated. It's wide
Yeah.
too. Like
Okay.
stuff's torn up, bushes and things are ripped through. It's pretty obvious. But you do not see any signs of humans following. It's purely just a massive. And these animals, they're also cloven hoof, but they're much larger. They're bigger than horses.
Cool.
Yeah.
Big.
So whatever. Yeah, they're big.
Okay.
Or at least some of the. I mean, they're huge.
Tuya, of what you know of northern clans, would they typically reside or stay at the end of a game trail, or would it be points through the game trail based on season? Trying to convey that the best I can.
Yeah, you guys can communicate roughly, but what you would say is not at the end, but they would go through pretty much they'd stay in the area, the best that they can. Kind of points throughout it, kind of a centralized place near like watering hole and eating grounds, like grazing grounds. They're nomads, so that's what you'd say. Usually they'd have a centralized camp somewhere, and then they would send hunting parties kind of to follow them through this place.
I think seeing this, I think we crossed the game trail about a half a day before turning back east. Well, not even, just maybe an hour before turning east, and see if we recross that game trail before we start to follow it.
So if it goes, let's say, west to east, you're cutting like perpendicular through it
for like an hour before then turning to run perpendicular to it to see if we recross it.
Sure. I see what you're saying. If it like loops around or whatever.
Correct.
Is that what you guys want to do?
I think it's the best way to know beforehand. If we run another half day and we don't cross it, then we can cut the hour back south and see if we cross it tomorrow, and then follow it the rest of the way up.
Cool. Yeah, it's a good plan. So you guys would push on through, you cut through it, you get into maybe a mile and a half, and you do see it loop back up again. It looks like they're moving along a riverbank now. So when you guys come up, there's a river that it's coming up, and they're going around kind of. So it went from west to east, loops up in a crescent, and now it's going east to west. Yep. And now there's a creek that cuts through here. It's frozen on top. But you can see that water runs through, definitely. But yeah, it's going through that. It's trailing.
So that was that's a that gives us some information now, because we know that they're following the terrain. The best thing to do now would be follow the creek bed, follow the river line, because they're either going to cross it or they're going to turn away from it at some point, because it would be a watering spot for them.
Yep, watering spot, and for people, that too. There's a lot of snow, but fresh water source for cleaning and other things.
You can break the ice.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think we follow the creek bed for what time of day is it? It's getting towards the end of the day, right?
Yeah. So first half, I say like you guys can do like 12 hours of travel realistically. I mean, without really killing yourselves. Yeah. So 6 hours. So it'd be noon, and you'd push another So you guys would travel like 6 to 6.
Okay.
Sun would start coming down.
So I think we spend the last half of our travel just follow the creek bed. If we start seeing the game trail tail off or get too far off the beaten path, we can always turn to follow it. But I think for now we just we follow the riverbed. Fresh water is going to draw anything and everything living.
Yep.
cool. Tuya agrees. She kicks the horse and whips the yak, and they move forward, kind of moving it. After, of course, she breaks the ice and waters them. She refills whatever she has, and I'm sure you guys do as well. The last half, it's getting late. You guys travel, and you do come across signs of a person. There's a fish trap. Do you know those like long kind of baskets? I don't know how to,
Yeah.
where it just nets into it.
Yep.
There's a couple of them set in the creek, and Tuya, of course, sees them. So do you, Bast. Immediately, you know what it is. It's a freaking fish trap. Somebody is collecting it. I'm assuming at some point there might be a trapper in the area. You would know that these are usually checked daily.
Yep. I think,
but you see them.
If it's getting late, I think we backtrack 100, 200 yards off of these traps, set up camp. But we keep eye if anyone comes and checks these traps. Typically, you're going to check them. Fish are typically active early in the morning and late at night, because that's when typically most of the bugs are active. In the south, that's how it is here. But I think we backtrack 150 yards, just keep an eye on it. And if we see somebody, we can, hopefully Tuya will know markings or whatever the case may be to have a conversation with them. But we don't want to be right on top of their traps, because we don't want any trouble of them thinking we're stealing their stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very precarious situation. If we're right there and they think that we're going to take from them, I don't think people would take kindly if they depend on it to survive. So yeah, let's stay enough away. I think it's good distance. And yeah, probably tomorrow morning they'll come and check up on it. I don't think tonight there'll be anything happening, so we'll be good.
Tuya?
She's already jumped off the horse and is leading them to go set up camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, it's really not a great place to camp here. I mean, it's kind of an open area. The trees are less dense because you're kind of, it's just, you do the best that you can. You guys set up a lean-to if you have it, but your tents and bedrolls, I'm sure you guys are all spooning tonight. Best you can.
This is one of those nights where we just got to get through the night, because there's some signs of life that we need to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what survivalists, Liam, tonight's one of those nights that this is what we just call it a get through night. You got to get through it, unfortunately.
Not much you can do. It's not an ideal spot, not a lot of coverage. It's open air.
We definitely got to be cognizant of predators here, though, as well, because you got the watering hole, and there's animals that they know if they're trapping, they find easy meal, they're gonna come for it.
So what do you want? Vigilant. What do you want to do to prepare for? You're just gonna keep watch.
Trying to think of what else do we have that we could. Can we
maybe have a couple torches ready just in case? Like have them next to the fire so that if something comes, we can wake up, light the torches, maybe just scare them away.
Yeah, you guys can make proper torches now that you rendered the wolf tallow. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I think that's what we do. We sort of set up a good light source in multiple directions. I think we keep our backs, even though it's frozen, I think we actually keep close to the riverbank or the creek bank. because most of the time, I mean, if a predator is going to come, that way we're dealing with really one side versus two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's how we set ourselves up.
It's a good plan.
Keep the lean-to into the wind to at least block as much of the wind as possible, and
What I'll say is with the tallow that you guys were able to render and kind of boil down, you'd be able to make 10 torches worth. So I don't know how you want to track it, but it's
well,
what you got on.
that tallow will be really good though if we get too cold to help from a calorie count too, to add some of that to that salted ration so we don't get dehydrated. So I
Let's,
split it in
yeah,
half and say we have enough for 5 and the other is being held.
sure.
Okay.
Cool. You guys set up the torches in key areas to kind of illuminate a perimeter. You do feel a little bit safer. The wind kind of rushes in and out. The flame kind of bears against it, but they do hold with that tallow. And just let me get a first watch as you guys batten down for the night.
All right, I'm gonna take it. First watch.
Give me a 1d100 and give me a wisdom as you survey the area.
It's a 64 and a wisdom of 15.
Nice.
There you go.
Oh, did we get any XP since last time?
Yeah, I would say
Been
daily.
like 2-3 days.
Yeah, I would say daily you guys can get I like that 75. So 75 per day. So this would be the conclusion of day 2.
Can we level up out here in the wild?
We have to have a
safe haven.
Safe haven.
Yeah, that's true. I would say you would have leveled up in the cave. That's as safe as a shelter's probably going to get.
Okay.
But out here and just regular setting up camps, nah, there's no. You need at least 3 solid walls. Let's call it that.
Works.
Yeah, we'll be flexible there. But okay, it goes well. And in fact, Liam, you see something in the distance. You do see a figure stirring. It's a shadow of a man moving towards the river, and you see him crouch down on his haunches. He's not near the fish traps, but he seems to notice you all. And he kind of stands 100 yards away. You can't see him clearly. You just see the shadow. But he is sitting there stalking and watching.
Okay, so I have learned the traditional hello. I'm assuming it was one of the first things that, it's been 4 days now that we've been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do the traditional hello, and I'm going to say seat. I know we know that word too.
Yeah, you'll be able to. You see the man stir, or you see the figure kind of stir back and forth and then stands up and begins.
I'm going to lift some food and I'm going to say the word for food.
The man comes out and emerges.
I'm going to wake up Tuya definitely first and then last.
It's a smart move. So the man, as he walks towards you, he's got a sword drawn. It catches the glint of the moons and the firelight. But as he sees the 4 of you and Tuya kind of waking up, you guys are rubbing the sleep out of your eye. He stops and sheathes the weapon and puts his hands up in the, hey, the universal, I'm not going to kill you, moves forward.
I do give him a bite and I say, thank you.
The man immediately, as he comes towards the warmth, he grabs the food, doesn't even look at you like a mongrel. He's just eating it, hunched over near the fire, and just tearing at whatever meat or whatever food you guys gave you. Tuya says a few words, but the man, he kind of grunts and he's still chewing. He inhales the food. And he eats some snow afterwards to try to wash it down best he can. But he looks up and says something in Northern. You can't really make out what he says. It's too quick, and his accent seems to be different. But him and Tuya start exchanging words back and forth. And she looks to him. He's like, it's okay. It's okay. Frostwalker. And she says something back to the man. They exchange some words. And she says, Trapper out here lost his friend. He hurt his foot. And you do notice that his foot is bandaged up pretty well. And she says he won't cause any problems. But the man sits there and he's really unconcerned with you guys. He's mostly out for survival at this point. He's cold, he's tired, he's hungry. Very wild almost. Like there's no social discourse or anything. Like he's a full-on tribes person. And he lays next to the fire, kind of wrapped up in his clothes.
What is he wearing?
He's
I was
wearing
just
furs.
gonna ask that.
Yeah, he's definitely wearing furs.
Does he have any armor at all?
No armor. He's got the short sword that you saw. It's iron, and he's got a bow that's unstrung. He does seem to have some gear. He's not like completely destitute, but a man by himself definitely is going to be in some trouble. But Tuya says it's strange. I don't know if his story really checks out. She's like, I've never come across a random person like this before.
I'm gonna ask Tuya, would he follow us?
I asked what he was doing out here. He wouldn't tell me. Other than that, he was traveling. I can ask. She says something in Northern to the man, and the man kind of turns over. He like rolls over from one side to his back to you guys and grunts something. And she says, maybe, I don't know. He's not a part of the Mammoth clan. He doesn't want to go with us, but he has seen them, and we are close at the very least. She says something in Northern again, but the man is quiet. I don't know. He's strange.
Tell him, a group is stronger. Don't be alone.
Yeah. She says something again, but the man just stops speaking. He's crawled up, exhausted and tired next to the fire. And she just kind of gives you one of those, like, I don't know the deal with this dude. She's like, this is weird to me too.
We'll keep an eye on him.
Is he like rolling over, falling asleep?
Oh yeah. It's like almost like a kid. Like you talk to him and then you roll over to one side to try to ignore you. She walks over to try to talk to him. He rolls the other way. But eventually he does pass out.
I'm gonna look at Tuya then and Liam give you the eye and just we're keeping an eye. I don't want to wake up to a knife to our throat. So you just like I'm kind of it's the sign language of like we're keeping an eye on him.
All right, Liam, your watch is over. You can head to sleep if you wish. There's a strange man in the camp.
I'm staying up and taking next. I'm staying up and telling everybody I'm keeping an eye on him. I'm keeping an eye on him.
Cool.
100 and wisdom.
Give me a 1d100 and a wisdom.
Is it advantage on that wisdom because he's sitting in the camp?
Well, if you're just watching for him and nothing else,
I'm watching everything. I'm listening. I'm seeing if I'm hearing any other foot traffic from around the camp. The crunching of the ice, snow, anything like that. So 47 on the D100 and 19 wisdom.
All right. 47 and 19, you're good. Nothing happens in the night. It's a whole lot of nothing out here in this cold land. The man, he stirs, but no more than anyone else. He does mutter in his sleep, almost like night terrors. He's kind of very fitful. You don't understand a word the man is saying. It's mostly gibberish, but maybe he doesn't look well either. Now that he's next to the fire, his skin is sallow. He looks sick. But yeah, other than him stirring in the night, tossing and turning and he like moans and says some mutters. Uh, it's fine. Your shift ends.
Okay. I am gonna, before I go to bed, I'm gonna change Tuya's tea just a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm gonna add some pine needles to it for the calorie intake. And then just a little bit of that tallow to just sort of thicken it up, almost like a broth. Like just not a ton of it, like just a small chunk of that wolf tallow just to kind of thicken it up like a broth.
That must taste so weird.
It probably does, but
It's like,
in a survival situation when you need calories and it's
true. You guys do have food though. You have
no, but I'm thinking to get something in that'll go, because your body has to work hard to digest solids. It doesn't have to work as hard to digest liquid. And so that broth
and more water.
Yep.
For the digestion. Yeah, she'll get it. She kind of pulls back when she sips from it, just kind of a little she's like, oh, that's not what I was expecting.
And then I kind of do the more for, and I point to the man still laying in our camp. He seems ill, seems sick.
Yeah, Tuya would go and kneel next to him and put a hand on him, and he seems to be burnt. She nods, like he doesn't seem well. His skin is sallow. He's also like sweating, muttering, probably got fever dreams. The man he's in rough shape, but she takes it, she drinks it, and she has her watch. Nothing goes on for the rest of the night. You guys will take the rest of the watches when you, whomever, and you wake up. In the morning, the man is gone.
Just gone?
He's gone. He slipped out. He is gone.
Is anything in our camp gone?
No.
Okay.
No. You can't, just came in the middle of the night, just strange to you. Everybody is just like, what? Just confused, and
no one saw him leave, but
no. You can see you can follow the trail. He definitely jams out. He on his own volition just took off.
Did he check the fish trap? Were they his?
You guys haven't investigated that yet.
We just
will check it out. Yeah, you can check it out. Weather this day seems fine. It's a sunny day. Most of the storm has passed. There's a couple clouds in the air, but for once the wind isn't brutal. It's still cold, of course, but the sun is out and you guys feel much better. Yeah, what do? You want to investigate those traps?
Yep.
Yeah. You guys head to the water and you investigate the traps. The first one, it's empty. The second one has a nice fish in it. It's a big one too. Oh, maybe not that big. It's 2 pounds. 2 pound, like a trout, some kind of river fish, it's a good size, but nothing else. The other trap, you don't know if it's this kind of trap. It's hard to tell if it's like been released because there's no like mechanism. They just kind of get stuck at the end. But yeah, that's what you find. You get a fish, but you don't see any trail or anything around here. So you would suspect he probably didn't know or didn't see them.
So they weren't his.
But the person who owns these traps has not been here either.
Not yet. Yep, it's early morning. It's just, the sun just rose, basically.
So what do we do? Do we travel or do we wait for them? That's probably not from the group we're with. We're looking for,
And it sounds like he said he's seen him and we're close, so I think we move.
Yeah, Chuya
said we know where we're at.
He had mentioned the clan moving. He wasn't kin either. That's really all she got out of him. Otherwise, it was just mad ravings. The man was sick and not in good shape.
I do take a quick moment and wash out her kettle um, for her since I changed things hoping to try to help the guy. So I do wash her kettle out for her and give it back to her clean for the next.
Did
You
the
know, the
guy
next
drink
day
it?
when he didn't. He left before in the middle of the night. So no.
Yeah, he's gone. No trace other than just him. You could see his foot kind of dragging behind him. I mean, but other than that, like he didn't try to rob anybody. He didn't take anything. Just really
Weird.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we keep our eye out in case it comes back, but I think we follow the game trail today, at least for half the day. He said he saw him close, so the game trail is going to be the way to go, I think, to start with, and hopefully within the half a day, maybe we see some signs of a hunt. I would assume without, because you said these things are huge, bigger than a horse. I would
Yeah.
assume that if they're going to take one of these down, they're not taking them down in a group. They're going to pull one to the side. So keep your eyes peeled for single tracks or even potentially dual tracks running off the main trail.
All right, will do.
Cool. The party gets their things, breaks down camp, and you head out. This is now day 3. And the area opens up a little bit. It does seem that you're still on the trail. Huge herd of animals have moved through here, and you guys are kind of just following along. In the distance, you do see the lights or the white flame of campfires lifting above the tree line. They're probably 5 miles away. You can see it. There's some kind of human civilization.
That could be it right there. Do you see the smoke above the tree line?
That's a good sign.
We head
Let's
towards
go
it.
check it out. I pop out the spyglass whenever I can to try and get more detail.
Nice. Yeah. You'd be able to find kind of a sloping hill, something with a little bit of elevation if you have to climb a tree. And what you would see is this actually. So I imagine Liam, he climbs up one of the pines. He's leaning against the trunk of the tree. And where the hell's my map? In the distance, you see large tents set up. I forget the name of these types of tents.
Yurts.
But yurts, thank you. Obviously, there's no glacier. But yeah, as you look out, you see these yurts that are set up. And you suspect the name Mammoth Clan comes from the bone of these animals. They're set up. You see these yurts, I guess the husk or the infrastructure of it. It's made of bone and wood. Pelts are kind of drawn over top it. The camp is popping. There's a lot of people here. You see maybe 30 or 40 white smoke trails from the center of these yurts up into the sky, and there's other open fire pits where people sit next to one another. There are horses, and there are the largest wolves you've ever seen in your life, and they seem to sit next to these people near the fire. It's hard to say what's going on, Liam, but you do see 9-ish 10 tents that are set up in the distance. That's what you see.
All right, so I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna relay the information. So they have about 9 tents, big mammoth tusks everywhere. I think this is it.
To Tuya, if what's you I know you've gone over protocol, but do we walk behind you and you go in first? Do we, how far back should we be?
It's fine. Let me talk. And she kicks the horse and she yips and smacks the yak, and you guys head forward towards the camp. She just says, "Stay behind me. Let me do the talking," essentially. And as you guys kind of break into a clearing, several of the sentries are pointing out you guys on the distance. You can see some motion in the camp. Several
Hands
of the
up.
warriors trying to get set up. One man here, he's on this is something you've never seen in your life. You may have heard of something like this, but he rides on the back of the wolf. And this creature is huge. It's the size of a horse, and it is swift and fast. And the way that he rides it, there's no saddle or anything. He's like one with the animal. His hands are kind of locked into its mane, and this thing is swift. And it's moving at you guys like shadow across the snow. Just and Tuya, her horse kicks back, kind of startled, and she says something. She's thrown off the horse, and before you guys can kind of really get the horse under control, the man on the wolf is on you guys, maybe 50 yards away, and he's got a spear in his hand and is shouting in northern tongue. And Tuya's hit the ground. She's like, "What the hell's going on?" She pops up. She's trying to control the horse. The other animals stirring, and she begins to shout back at the man. He raises the spear and gets closer as if he's going to throw it. And finally, she gets the horse. She's got the rein. She pulls it in. She's like, calm down. It's braying, it's snorting. It does not like this wolf or the man, but eventually she's a master. She gets it under control and shouts back to the man. It's like, you guys can understand. No harm. No harm. No harm.
When he's riding out, my hands are up the whole time. You just see Boss just like this, like,
we know the word for peace. It's coming
out. Yeah. Please God.
Friend.
The man lets out a howl. This howl, not a war cry. It's kind of a mix of a war cry and kind of like just almost, it's hard to explain, but kind of a call out. And you see two other riders. They are not on wolves. They approach on horseback. The horses out here, they're thick stock, kind of like draft horses. They're big necked. They're breaking through the snow. They're huge, and they follow behind. And Tuya, she gets on her horse and rides forward, and she looks back at you guys like, "Let's go. This is it. Let's talk to him." She rides forward. The man swings the wolf around side to side. The wolf seems to be kind of snarling, and it's got like this energy, like this anxious energy to it. And the man, he is tight. He's got his hand kind of pulling against it, and the spear in his other hand. Just feels tense. But Tuya moves, and the horse is snorting and hesitant. She's got to kick it and spur it a few times for it to get closer, but she eventually does. And they exchange a few words. The man puts out a hand. The other man comes up alongside. Both of the riders kind of come alongside her and start to frisk her, like trying to get stuff. One pulls like some rations out of her bag. The other one takes out some coin. They're basically just robbing her, but she does nothing to stop them. They take the rest of the tallow. They take one of the barrels of, they're basically just taking shit from her. Food, let's say like 10 rations, the rest of the tallow, her coin, and they go to take her knife, but she grabs it and she draws it on the guy like, you better fucking stay back. But they exchange some words, and after a while it seems less hostile and it seems more like cost of doing business, let's say. But after a while, you guys make it into the camp. They walk you in, and as you guys approach, I mean, you get looks from people. All kinds of people are side-eyeing you. They do not trust you. Some of them are curious. There's women and children and men, multiple families here. The warrior types seem to be at guard. Some of the children and people are very curious. They've never seen a Westerner. They've never seen a Southerner. Black skin is very strange to them. And, some of the kids kind of run up in packs to kind of see and meet you guys, where their mothers and their fathers are yelling at them like, get away.
Back,
what the hell are
back,
you? Yeah, back
get
up,
back.
you idiots. Yeah. And it's definitely the event of the day. But we will end there as you guys are kind of welcome, let's say, into the camp of the Mammoth clan. This is the first time that you guys have met anybody in the wild north, and we'll see how things go.
Whoa.
So
And we survived on the way there, so I think that's an accomplishment.
that's
Yeah.
right. And you guys get 250 experience points for getting through that last encounter and finding the Mammoth camp. It's right where Area Vista said. He's got some good information. And we're going to be, for the audience out there, we're going to take a break. The holidays are coming up, so I won't be running until 2024, but we will pick back up the last Friday of January and see exactly what happens to the crew as they venture
As
forth
Zwinja
into...
wakes up in the middle of a wild camp.
Yeah, it's like, how did we... Don't worry about it. It's from one camp to another camp. It's a whole lot of camps going on. But I'll see you guys next time, next Friday, and peace out.